estimated wait time is approximately forever.
Cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
Please continue to hold for the next available representative.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
We appreciate you waiting and waiting. What is it you're waiting for? Do you even know anymore?
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new live stream. We have a lot to cover tonight. We have the Michigan primaries. Make sure you guys like the stream down below. Subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 165K tonight. We are very, very close. But nonetheless, we are going to pivot to the camera. There we go. We are alive. And you guys can see this here. I was out of town, did not get to stream South Carolina, but we are back as promised. We're going to be streaming the Michigan results out of my birth state / one of my two home states here. The state of Michigan, it is a state that in the primary is expected to go to Trump. Maybe some drama on the other side as well. Biden's not in trouble, but a lot of people upset about the whole response to the Middle East conflict with Israel and Palestine. They're urging voters to vote uncommitted as a protest vote. Will it actually make a dent? Probably not like a ridiculous amount, but I mean, we'll see. Even in 2012, I think 11% of Michigan went uncommitted to protest the Obama administration, even on the Democrat side, although a lot of those voters have fully defected and they're now Republicans who are supporting Trump, at least those who voted uncommitted, who either, wouldn't be voting uncommitted this time on the Democrat side. So either way, like the stream, subscribe. We're so close to 165K. I'll get to your super chats. Polls are closing within the first 60 seconds or so here. So we'll be monitoring the results as they do come in. Does not seem like we have exit polling. I don't know if we just haven't had it released yet, but we're also waiting on some exit polling data to potentially come through as well. So We will look at some of these super chats when the results, we're waiting for them to come in, but let's just make sure the polls close first. We don't have any instant drops. They're going to be counting the absentees first. They're going to be counting early voting first. That's likely going to benefit Haley. So I would not urge people to freak out at the results being closer than expected when the first results get reported, but Trump is anticipated to win Michigan by a lot. It will likely be his strongest primary victory yet, not counting Nevada, where Haley was not on the same ballot, and it was, done on a different day, that whole drama there with the primary versus caucus. But nevertheless, the polls have closed in every single county except the 4 that are in Central Time. Those 4 polls close in 1 hour, but we have yet to see any results get tabulated just yet. We'll monitor the screen, watching results potentially come in. We also have Decision Desk up here, and no results are in yet there either. So, Johnny Heartdog for 10 says, could Nikki Haley be staying in the race just so she can be a well-known no-labels candidate? And if she does, would she take enough votes from Trump to change the outcome? I think she'd end up taking more from Biden, arguably, than taken from Trump at the end of the day, if that's the case. Ronnie J says, what percentage that Trump wins the popular vote? I think he's favored right now. I don't have a specific percentage, but he doesn't need to win the popular vote to win the election. That one oddball says, does Haley drop out before or after Super Tuesday? Well, the donors are drying up. She's only going to stay in now at this point because she promised she would stay in. But in terms of her dropping out after Super Tuesday, I think it's very likely because she's draining more resources from the left than the right at this point. So it's honestly beneficial. One could make the argument if she does stay in, because all the money that's going to be spent to cause chaos in the GOP primary is money that would otherwise just go to Joe Biden. So have at it. Mitchell Ryan says, do you think Mike Johnson will cave? We've yet to see. I mean, he's holding the line strong so far, so hopefully he doesn't. Andrew Mortensen says, wait, Nikki's still a candidate in the race, biggest loser of all time, even bigger than Chris Christie. Love your rep, MAGA. Well, Chris Christie's not really a loser because he hasn't really lost much weight. Saga says, hey, rep, long time no seen. Love the new stream layout. What camera are you using? It is the Elgato. I don't know the exact name of the camera, but it is an Elgato, the 4K high definition camera. It's much better than the last one. Looks more crisp. Yeah, absolutely love to see it. Hi, sir, says, I just got an ad from Katie Porter, or an anti-Katie Porter ad from your live. Also, what's a good margin of victory today? Anything above 40% is good. It also shows the Emerson polls relatively accurate. And if it's accurate for the primary, that's good news for the general. But still, primary polls and open primaries tend to be a little bit iffy because it's very hard to gauge the exact electorate that's going to, show up. That's why the polls underestimated Trump significantly in the state of New Hampshire. But we, really get to see what the polls look like in some close primary states, and that could change the dynamic. But because Haley's losing, you would anticipate fewer crossover voters in ensuing primary states just because they realize it's futile. There's no chance of knocking off Trump in pretty much every single state, even states like Utah, Vermont. I mean, Trump probably still holds on in D.C. even. I think that's a close primary, so that's going to help out. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Rhinos YTH says, thanks for all the hard work and entertainment, rep. Well, thank you. Mr. Jimmy says, thoughts on New York Democrats dropping the ball on redistricting. I think they're being careful because if they have what happened last time happen again with the courts, they probably would have even a more unfavorable map towards them than they already have right now. So it's not all that surprising. It's really not. But anyways, the polls have closed. We're waiting for any results to pour in. It does not seem like we have any results out of either Decision Desk or the New York Times. But like the stream, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. We are knocking on the door. We have thousands of people live watching the stream. Let's get to 165K on stream tonight. We are getting closer and closer. We are just 200 away. When the stream was put up here a couple hours ago in the waiting room, we were 300 away, so we are gaining like crazy. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get this show underway. Let's get these results in here. Scott Matthews says, do you think the never-Trumpers from the Republican side will take a toll on Trump's chances in the presidential election? Probably not, because a lot of the people that are voting for Haley either A, are going to come home, B, are going to vote third party and may have never voted for Trump, or C, never voted for Trump, have no plans on voting for Trump. I think 40% of her voters in South Carolina, in her home state, actually voted for Joe Biden. And that was like 16% of the electorate or something like that. So, yeah, Trump does have a lot of, voters that he needs to go out there in court, I'm sure. It's called pivoting. It's what happens in every election cycle. But still, at the end of the day, people need to understand that if the turnout for the primary was pretty low overall, it'd be an issue. But because Trump's setting these raw vote total records in every single state, I think it just doesn't matter. You also have to look at Biden's numbers. They are also abysmal. He might be getting in the 90s in a lot of these states, but still, at the same time, the amount of, turnout in general for him is pretty low. And a lot of his supporters in the primary are actually going and voting for Haley. So we have votes on the Democrat side out of the county of Oakland. Uncommitted's only doing 5.6% right now. Biden's currently at 90%. That's Oakland County's 20% in. On the Republican side, we have no data out of Oakland County just yet. We're waiting on it. Some people say Oakland's going to be a county that's less Trump favorable. I disagree. I think Oakland's got, a lot of pro-Trump areas. It's also got some, more neoliberal type of rhino/Democrat areas too. But still, in this primary, Trump should win Oakland. I think if he loses a county, it might be Washtenaw. Watch out for Kent and Ingham being close. But either way, there's a chance he wins every single county if the polls are remotely accurate. It seems like he will. So here we go. FB says, bigger figuratively, not literally. I think it's safe to say they don't get much bigger than Chris Christie. It's true. Polite Rude Guy says, voted out rhinos in Texas criminal appeals court today. That's good to hear. Andrew Mortensen says, good replacement for Ronna McLamiel. It's going to be Michael Whatley, the chair of the very competent North Carolina Republican Party. Mike Oxhart says, Binkley for the win. I predict 70% Binkley, 27% Trump, 3% Haley. All jokes aside, he did drop out today. Nikki Haley's the only candidate that's remaining in this race that has any iota of name recognition. Johnny Hartdog says, Vivek keeps saying the Democrats are lulling us into a false sense of security. Do you think that's an overstatement? I do. It depends what he means by that exactly. False sense of security. It really just depends on what they're trying to get at. But we have votes on the Democrat side. Wayne County, uncommitted so far. I guess that might be a Dearborn precinct or something like that, but uncommitted in Wayne County is at 30%. Ooh, that is interesting, but it's just one precinct reporting. I wouldn't read into it a whole lot, but Democrats fired up about the whole Palestine issue. It seems as if they may be voting uncommitted in some of these counties here. Maybe not to give a majority of them to Biden, but still, it's going to be important to watch the final margin when it's all said and done in some of these counties, if it shows that Biden has a base problem. But all in all, I think the main takeaway from this really has more to do with the fact that Biden just doesn't have enthusiasm overall with the whole turnout thing, rather than, Biden's having a sizable defection from his own party to uncommitted. Because I really like the amount of voters that are actually fired up about the whole Palestine thing. They're not as prevalent as some people would think. We hear about, Trump's going to win Michigan because of the Muslim vote or whatever. And it's like, I think Trump's going to win Michigan if the election were today, but the Muslim vote is not as big of a deal as some people think. I mean, even Tudor Dixon did better with Muslims than Donald Trump did, but that didn't exactly help her out altogether. And I think Biden does worse than Whitmer did for sure. But is it going to move the needle necessarily in the whole state when it's just 2% of the state's electorate at most? And probably not. So Horizons Bear says Haley's base is suburban white women. Trevor Hint says I wouldn't be completely opposed to Haley staying in until the end of the primary just to see how badly she loses, so long as it doesn't drain any more resources that are going to be used in the general election for Trump. I don't exactly have a problem with it. We have results. 1% of the vote is in. Oakland County is going for Donald Trump so far in the early vote that's reported. Early vote in Oakland County going for Trump by 16%. That's not exactly where Nikki Haley would want to be. I mean, he's there at 54.4%. Haley's down there at 40. I mean, it's Oakland County, a lot of suburban voters there. Not exactly working out. When you look at the total estimated vote share, they expect Haley to narrowly pick off Ann Arbor, which is Washtenaw County. But nevertheless, they have Donald Trump expanding his lead in Oakland. I think he will. I think he'll expand his lead in Oakland. But if that's Haley's margin in Oakland, that's not good news for Haley. That's good news for Donald Trump, because that's supposed to be one of her better counties. And if she can't even crack 40% there in the early vote, that's going to be a lot of trouble for Haley. That's like the most suburban, stereotypical suburban county in Michigan, arguably, besides maybe like Kent. But even then, Kent's like a city. It's just a smaller metro area, Grand Rapids. And then the outer suburbs of Grand Rapids, even though they've been moving left, they're still very, very Republican. And Trump probably still does well there in the primary. I mean, even Peter Meyer couldn't even win Kent County in the 2022 primary. But we have 5,000 live viewers, guys. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel. We are knocking on the door of 165,000. Make sure you guys like the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're like 150 away from 165K, so let's get there on stream tonight, hopefully, as we get our results tallying in here. But so far, 20,000 votes have been tallied. Early vote in Oakland County, still heavily favoring Donald Trump. They say Donald Trump is going to win by around 40% according to the Needle. He could win by up to 66%. That is absolutely huge. We'll see the results as they continue to come in. But so far, early vote in Oakland County, I mean, that's supposed to be the Haley favorable dump. And so far, what do we see here? We see Donald Trump in the high 50s, according to Decision Desk. I mean, there's been more votes tabulated on Decision Desk. I wish I could see where the votes were coming from within Oakland. Are they coming from, the outer parts of Oakland County, or are they coming from Southfield, Bloomfield Hills, Birmingham area? That's probably where Haley's going to be doing the best, is in the more, affluent part of Oakland County. She'll be running up the score in, Bloomfield Hills, Bloomfield Township area. Donald Trump is going to be doing the best in the outer suburbs. He'll be doing the best in Novi, Wixom, South Lyon, White Lake, Waterford, etc. For those who understand where these places in Michigan are, you probably can gauge the difference. Trump was in Waterford doing a rally a couple of weeks ago too. So that's where he kind of banked on getting a lot of support out. Also, the whole Oakland Township area, Oxford area of Oakland County, that's also very Trump friendly, more so. When it comes down to Rochester, you got probably a little bit less, a little bit more ancestral Republicans there, places where Trump's underperforming past Republicans, but still a lot of parts of Oakland County, he's overperforming them. Not all suburbs are created equal. Not all suburbs within the same county actually are created equal, because they have different cultural and educational demography within them. Johnny Heartdog for 20 says, what Vivek means is basically the same rhetoric we keep hearing. I refer to them pulling the bait and switch when we think we're so ahead in the polls, then they swap Biden out. Yeah, they're not swapping Biden out. I hate to break it to some people who just cling on to this notion, they're going to swap out Biden. Not going to work. Look, if they do that, they're going to lose by more. They don't have a bench. They have nobody on their bench who's going to be doing better. There's a reason why Biden's actually polling the best against Donald Trump, believe it or not, compared to any of these other people, any of these other candidates. So we'll see. Decision Desk has the most results. Donald Trump leading Nikki Haley in the early vote in Oakland County, 62-34. That's brutal. That's not exactly where she needs to be in an open primary in the suburban area of Detroit, Mitt Romney's birthplace, where Mitt Romney grew up. The early vote, she's barely cracking a third of it in an open primary. That's not good news. Oakland County is the only county reporting. And so far, Trump leads by 31. Imagine when the Macomb County results come in. Imagine when the rest of the state comes in. Unless this happens to be Election Day vote, and maybe it is out of some places, I don't know. But if those are Trump's numbers in Oakland, period, that's really good news for him statewide. I just don't know when the New York Times are going to fill out their results because for some reason they're waiting. Unless these results are somehow not from Oakland County. But that's good for Trump so far. Good for Trump so far, but we got a long way to go. So JM says, what do you think of Trump inviting Lindsey Graham up on stage in South Carolina? Rubbed me the wrong way. Well, he's going to do that for a while. I mean, when he's in South Carolina, he's going to put his surrogates on stage. Graham has been a surrogate. And Trump, I think, understands that he's not somebody who's all that much in line with his agenda, and he's been saying that more. And, I think he sees Graham getting booed, and he's like, yeah, maybe this isn't really the best idea. So I think it's funny when he brings him up and Graham ends up inevitably getting booed by Trump's base, and maybe he's just understanding that it's not really a good idea to have him so close. But it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say he should reject the endorsement of somebody who's a senator in an early state. Graham is somebody who's definitely a snake. He's somebody who's trying to, get in Trump's good graces and whatever. But in reality, I think it's because he just sees the writing on the wall. I think he's, with his rhetoric even on foreign policy recently has been improving, and probably a lot of that is a grift, but we'll have to see. I don't trust Graham. So I don't necessarily like it when he does it. But you look at what happens. Every single political movement, you're going to have some people that happen to be more in line with the establishment in order to have more pull for certain things. So it just depends if you let them fully dictate the agenda or not. So, yes, man says skibbity toilet for president. Again, I just don't know what that meme means. I've seen it around. I just don't get it. Alistair says, will higher petrol prices affect the U.S. election? I believe you're talking in British talk when you say that. But in reality, will gas prices affect the election? They're supposed to go up, actually. They went down for a while. They're supposed to go up again, so we'll see. So we have more votes in Oakland County. Now they say it's 28% reported Donald Trump with a 2-1 lead in Oakland. That's brutal. Wayne County, he's at 71%. Wayne County, that's where like Livonia is, Dearborn, inner city Detroit. There's some other places there, but he's also doing well in the early vote in Ottawa County, which is a county that's solidly red, but not as red as it was back in the day. And there's like a few counties in Michigan that are actually bluer than they were back in 2012, even though the majority of them have moved vastly to the right, including some suburban counties like Macomb. But Grand Rapids, they're more ancestrally Republican. They don't, support Trump as much as they've supported some other Republicans in the region. But still, Donald Trump doing very well there in the primary so far as these results are pouring in. So they still have Trump up by 40 in the live forecast. It's possible he wins by more than that. Just depends on the final results. But more results are tallied here. This is out of Eaton County. He's cracking 74. Sheboygan County, we finally got northern rural Michigan pouring in. Donald Trump, he's there. 86% of the vote. That is absolutely huge for Donald Trump. Biden, meanwhile, he's not doing all that well. 82.5%. You're an incumbent president. You're at 82.5%. You have no serious opposition. That's not a good sign for Joe Biden whatsoever. More results are pouring in as we speak. We got more super chats. Johnny Heartdog says, I wish people would stop talking about his age and mental capacity. We should focus on his policies. And make no mistake, it's not Biden's policies, it's Democrat policies that are destroying America. Well, I think the mental capacity thing is kind of a problem because you have the Department of Justice saying, his own DOJ, saying that he's not fit to be tried for leaking classified documents and storing them, but at the same time, he's fit to be president. I think it does matter to an extent, but yeah, it can't be the entire scope of the entire campaign. So, without further ado, yeah, Democrats, Biden's at 80.1. He's barely cracking 80. I thought he'd be getting high 80s at a minimum, but it's incredible when you look at this. There was no effort really on the ground for, he's under 80. He's under 80. Joe Biden is under 80%, uncommitted at 15. That's not even with Dearborn in. You look at Washtenaw County, he's got a base issue. That's like a big issue for Biden. 25% going uncommitted. That's brutal. That's a quarter of the vote in Washtenaw County, and that's with 21% reporting. That's not like it's one precinct in like Ypsilanti that happens to be like slanted with a higher, proportion of Muslim voters there. No. I mean, this is an issue. It's a bigger issue than I thought it would be. Donald Trump, he's expanded his lead here. His lead in Oakland is 20,000 votes, and they estimate the remaining votes in pretty much every county are going to benefit him. Let's see. Do we have any results out of, what's Trump's weakest county? It's Oakland, and even then he's doing well. He's doing well in Oakland. That's where you would anticipate Haley's support base to be, those, suburban women or whatever. But even in Kent County, Trump's cracking 70 in the one precinct that's in the early vote. I mean, seriously, Washtenaw County, Donald Trump is winning Washtenaw. That's Ann Arbor, the one county Haley was, hoping she could at least win. She's at 42% in Washtenaw. Trump is beating her in Washtenaw County, of all places, by double digits. I mean, that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. Trump lost it in the 2016 primary. CCM28 says South Carolinian here to say no to Nimrod, and Trump's just playing the field with Fraudly Graham. Yeah, I kind of agree. Honestly, he should be in the cabinet in some remedial position, because what that would do is it would take him out of his Senate seat and make him Secretary of Transportation or something, place where he won't influence foreign policy. That way you can get the MAGA governor, Henry McMaster, to appoint a replacement that actually shares Donald Trump's values, to a state that its GOP has a couple good people in it, maybe more than it did a few years ago, but has been severely out of touch with its own voter base. It's a state that is relatively MAGA, but the Republican Party and their leadership in South Carolina have been very, very weak. 7,000 live viewers, folks. 7,000. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel as well. Let's hit 165,000. We are currently knocking on the door right now. Everybody hit the subscribe button if you are new for epic election analysis. We do it every single primary stream. We make, videos pretty much every day. Doomsday Machine says, do you think Trump will have a historic 50-state sweep in the primary? Pretty much at this point, yeah. It depends. Vermont might be the question mark. Very similar to New Hampshire. John Kasich almost won it in 2016. The only reason why Trump won it then was because Democrats would cross over then to vote for him because they thought he was weaker. But in reality, now they're doing the opposite because now they want to weaken him because they know he's strong. It's insane. So it's possible he does sweep every state. It depends how long Haley stays in, but she's losing any iota of momentum that she actually had to begin with. So yeah, Eaton County, 32% in. Suburban Lansing, Donald Trump, 74.1% in Eaton County right now. Sheboygan County still, 3% reporting. So there's a long way to go here. But Donald Trump, we might as well just call it, right? You would anticipate we call it. I don't know how the New York Times hasn't called it. I'm sure some networks have called it. But I think we can call it. Let's see. But yeah, Trump's weakest state in 2016 was actually a territory. It was the Virgin Islands, and he won that 75-25. And yeah, it was a closed primary or caucus, but still. He got more delegates there than Haley got in South Carolina. I mean, that tells you how weak Haley is. She has no path to victory. I'm sure all the delegates that are not going to be allocated during this primary that will be allocated during the convention, they're probably just all going to go directly to Donald Trump. Yeah, Biden's still below 80%. Still below 80. Uncommitted at 25% in Ann Arbor, which is Washtenaw. Oakland County, Biden's only at 82%. You think that'd be one of his stronger counties, but nope. He's not doing too well across the board, it seems. And you don't even have Lansing in, another college town. You don't have Wayne in, which is where the majority of Michigan's Muslims live, in Dearborn. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of uncommitted voters there. I mean, that's where the effort was basically started, and that's not good news for Joe Biden in any way you want to, chalk it up. Oh, it's a protest vote, this, that, and the other thing. They did that with Obama in 2012, and it only got 10%. Obama won Michigan but he lost like 8% from 2008 to 2012. And it kind of laid, down the groundwork there for Donald Trump to do even better in Michigan and take the state in 2016. So Brawl Stars Fights brought that up, that I need to check the Democrat primary. No, it's not good for Biden. It's not good. I thought he'd be getting in the high 80s. I thought the uncommitted wouldn't be making as much of a dent as they currently are now. And yeah, when you have that none of these candidates option, basically, like they had in Nevada, it got 10% in a closed primary. Now, yeah, Biden's not even getting 80%. That's brutal. Marianne Williamson already dropped out and she's at 3%. Dean Phillips is, basically a nobody to most people in Michigan. They don't know who he is. He's getting 2%. And Huron County reported some ballots there. For some reason, they haven't reported in the... Yeah, now Trump's at 48%. Trump is supposed to win now by 48. That Emerson poll might be right, folks. If the Emerson poll is right, that's wonderful news for November. That's wonderful news for November. Yeah, there's a long way to go here. Yeah, we know that. But still, even in Washtenaw County, the prediction has now flipped to Trump on the New York Times. Nikki Haley might not win a county. This is an open primary. She should be doing well if Trump's in trouble. She should be doing well in Michigan, but no. You don't even have any votes reported from Macomb County. You don't have any votes reported from, rural Michigan for the most part. I mean, seriously, Haley's not doing too well. She's not. They anticipate Trump's lead's going to increase. On top of that, this is early vote. This is early vote. Now, maybe election day voting is even worse for Biden for the uncommitted thing. Maybe it is. Because the more votes that have been reported, the worse Biden's been doing. He's below 79%. Now, keep this in mind. Donald Trump very well could get 75% if this is accurate, and it's subject to change. Now, on the Democrat side, could Biden fall below Trump? Is that possible? It's probably not likely, but if it happens, it's going to be hilarious. So let's see. Sam Madsen says, will Trump flip Muskegon? He could. I think he does in November if he wins the state. Nick Villapodno says, do you think Haley's just trying to get name recognition before she jumps to no labels and tries to prevent anyone from getting too... Well, she's not winning a state, so that's kind of not the goal there. I mean, she might try to stop or take votes away from Trump or Biden. I think she takes more votes away from Biden at this point, if we're going to be completely honest, if she goes third party. Because, the voters that are voting for her in a primary that would never vote for Trump, they might stick with her. Because I don't think they all like Biden that much if they're willing to just cause chaos. They probably just don't like either candidate. So, but either way, this is good for Trump. What's the cope now? Well, he's an incumbent president and he's only winning by 48 when it's all said and done. Like, get a grip. Like, these primaries are literally being infiltrated. They're open primaries, and Trump's still winning them by a lot. He's still doing well. Like, there's no excuse. The Emerson poll is supposed to be accurate, 72 to 24. What was the Emerson poll? If the Emerson poll is accurate, that's great news for Trump. The Emerson poll was 76-24. So that's relatively accurate. 8,500 live viewers. Like the stream, everybody. Hit that bell, subscribe. We're almost to 160. Oh, we hit it. We hit 165K. Still subscribe. Let's get to 166K. But everybody watching, if you're new, feel free to subscribe, like the stream. Let's get to 3,000 likes. If you have any questions, feel free to send super chats. Ken Bauman says she will stay in the race until she is removed. Trump being the nominee presents legal issues for the Biden DOJ, plus Trump would receive presidential briefs. But yeah, that's destruction. Absolutely. If you're talking about Trump winning by 50 points and the Emerson poll's accurate, the Emerson poll also had Biden at 77. Biden's at 78.7. And that's with all the undecided. That's not good news for Democrats. It's not. They can cope about it all they want. They could say, oh, X amount of voters voted for Haley. Doesn't matter. A lot of those voters, A, are going to come home to Trump, or B, never voted for him to begin with. That's the kicker. And you look at the Democrat primary, 10% of the vote is in. Are we really going to see the 900,000 votes on the Democrat side? Seems a little high to me. But then on the Republican side, it's showing that we're going to have like 2 million. I don't know if this entirely all makes that much sense, but let's see. Dollar for Dollar says, will the war in Israel hurt Democrats in 2024? It seems like it's doing that right now. Dan Demand 966, thank you for the super chat. On Point Politics says, I'm streaming too. Trump is killing it right now. Also, shameless plug. Kaminsky says, what's a good book to read on economics? Love your videos, by the way. Boxers for Trump. It depends. There's a lot of good books. It depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about trade? Are you talking about, economic policy in general? Because there's a lot of books that I've read about economic policy that are interesting. The Fletcher trade book, No Trade is Free. That's a good one, or whatever it's called. There's a lot of good books. Milky Way Gaming says Obama got 60% in 2012 in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Yeah, but a lot of those Democrats have unregistered as Democrats since then, so I wouldn't anticipate Biden to do that poorly this time around. Seahawks Brendan Nelson for 10 says just supporting for the years of hard work and great content. Keep it up. Well, thank you. So, 8,200 live viewers. We're watching the results out of Michigan. Nikki Haley not doing so well. Not doing well at all. New York Times and Decision Desk are kind of catching up to each other. Wish that, okay, we have the primary map here so far. Trump is at 55% in Washtenaw now. He's at 65% in Oakland, 84% in St. Clair County. Bay County is at 76. So far, like these other counties here, there's only 1% reporting, but he's doing very well across the board, it would seem. Even the counties he's not supposed to be doing all that well in, he's still winning by like 30. So that's insane. Dan Demand 966 says, can Trump have 2 more terms if reelected? No, only get 1. Alistair says, when will Nikki Haley decide to screw off? It depends. I don't know if she's going to stay in until the convention. If she does, she's probably going to waste more resources from the Biden side. So why not, if that's the case? Because all the Republican donors are laying off. The Koch brothers, they're gone. AFP, they cut her off. There's no path. They know there's no path. They should have never funded her in the first place, but they were delusional enough, and or they actively wanted to see Trump appear weaker, so they would at least have their future in with Nikki Haley. But even then, Nikki Haley, in order to get on people's good side, I don't think there's even a way for her to do it within the GOP base. Like, her ceiling right now is what she's getting. Like, that's it. And that ceiling's only going to fall over time. So Trump is up by over 30. Biden, he's kind of struggling a little bit. Some of these counties, he's in the 70s. I mean, Washtenaw County, he's below 70. It's not looking all that good for Joe Biden. And this is like early vote, too. The more results that get tallied, the worse that Biden's going to do, and probably the better Trump is going to do. So, yeah, have at it. Let's see. Nasty Mandy says, have you been keeping up with Trump's Georgia case? I have, and it apparently may be coming apart at the seams. That Department of Justice down there in Atlanta, not looking too good. I mean, you have all this chaos. The prosecutor, Fani Willis, she's, allegedly been doing some sort of embezzlement scheme with Nathan Wade, basically her boyfriend there. They've been just, taking money, going on trips, doing all this stuff. It's a mess. It's coming apart at the seams. The same people that are going out there trying to get Trump, put him away, is it working? They're just collapsing in real time. Makes it appear unserious. And in the eyes of the public, they're the ones doing more research now. That's why Donald Trump has surged in the polls since he's been indicted. And I'm not just talking about in the primary. I'm talking about in the general as well. Dollar for Dollar says, Nimrod loves the humiliation rituals and attention. That's true. Nasty Mandy says, I paid him back in cash, no receipts. Yeah, it's blatant what they're doing, and all they can say is, no, you oppose me, or you hate women, you're racist, whatever. When they use that as their argument, they lose, and they're losing, and that's why they're pulling out that argument. That's why they're pulling out that card, and is it working out for them? No, it's not. No chance whatsoever. So Biden so far, Yep, he's struggling. It seems like he's not doing that well. Grand Rapids only 71% in the one precinct reporting. Oh man. Okay, well we have a long way to go, but still, Gabster13B says, isn't Fanny Pack Willis BCP fan? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Mitchell Ryan says, I am more worried about New York versus Trump. That case is probably the most laughable one. They had to change the statute of limitations by law just so they could prosecute the case. And you could look at similar cases that have been more extreme in terms of how much the quote-unquote funds paid, like the hush money was. You look at the Steele dossier case. It was a civil penalty fine of like a very minuscule fine. Donald Trump, in this case that now they say is criminal, what exactly are they going to be able to get him on here? Well, in any court in the world, they would just throw out the case and laugh at it. But because it's New York, because it's the Southern District, because they're actively trying to go out there and imprison their political opponent for things that aren't even illegal technically, in many cases, it's abysmal. So Alistair says, thoughts on Trump's planned New York rally? I'm all for it. People need to understand that we're not on the eve of the election and he's like campaigning in New York because he's like thinking he's going to win it. He's testing the waters by having a big event, allegedly, in the state that would draw a lot of attention, draw a lot of people. If he has a rally in Madison Square Garden, he's probably going to sell out the place. Well, technically it's a free rally, but he's probably going to pack it to its brim in New York City. It'll be this, big spectacle. It's going to get a lot of people paying attention to it. And I think it would be a good thing overall, for the base or whatever, but it'd just be like a one-time thing. And definitely going to New York is something that could be positive. You have a lot of down-ballot House races, and you need your supporters showing up in high numbers in New York. No, you're not going to flip it, but still you're going to be able to, have the largest margin of House gains you can have, so you have a means of enacting your agenda when you're able to go out there and control the Senate, which it seems like they're going to do because the map is easy. Control the House. That's what you need to do in order to get things done. So, let's see, 9% or 8% reporting. We still have a long way to report. We don't have a lot of votes in a lot of these places that have really yet to come in. But still, Donald Trump in very, very good shape so far. We've been streaming for, 45 minutes or so. Claudia Schroyer, thank you for the 2. But yeah, rally wherever you need to rally. I don't have a problem with that. But anyways, guys, once again, make sure you guys like the stream down below. Can we hit 4,000 likes? Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of content on the way between now and Election Day, so make sure you're there for all of it. But yeah, this primary, Joe Biden in trouble, Trump doing very well so far. It's just incredible. Donald Trump, in these open primaries, they say he's been struggling, and now he's likely going to go out there win by 50 when all the votes are counted. Yeah, we have a long way to go. We had more votes tabulated. I don't know where those just came in from, but still, his margin in these rural counties in the early vote, he's cracking like 80%. Even in Oakland, where you would anticipate Haley to have, crossover support and whatnot, you're seeing her only at 31%. And in Washtenaw County, which is the bluest county in Michigan, arguably, I think it's even bluer than Wayne, at least it probably will be after this election cycle, well, Nikki Haley's only cracking 40. She's likely not going to win a county. And that's early vote. That's not even like Election Day vote. They're counting the early vote first. They're dumping in the absentees, which is a refreshing relief compared to how they conducted the election in 2020. But still, you're seeing that there, and Trump's lead's only going to probably increase from here on out. So the Iranian Putin says, I don't think Joe knows he's running for POTUS. Ben says uncommitted at 16 and Dearborn not even in. Yeah, Dearborn's only like 100,000 people, but I mean, still, it does add up. And you're probably going to see some precincts go uncommitted there because you have a big Muslim population. They're not fans of Joe Biden. Joe Biden has managed to bring unity because everybody in this country hates him. I mean, Republicans hate him, independents hate him. Both the pro-Palestine crowd and the pro-Israel crowd both don't like Joe Biden's reaction to this conflict for one reason or another. And that's going to be a problem. When you try to, placate both sides, that's usually what happens. Usually, I will say. But even Ukraine, that was supposed to be Biden's winning issue, not exactly a winning issue anymore for Biden. People don't want to send money over there at the rates we've been sending money over there. Jay Shug says, going to see Trump at the Texas border tomorrow or boo at Joe Biden's convoy with the thousands of other Texans? Well, honestly, I think that if I were to go down to the Texas border with Mexico, that would be like an 8-hour drive. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do that. But it is true. Trump is going there. Biden, he's had how many years to go down there? He's finally going down there because it's an election year. It's not going to move the needle. People know that it's all fluff. It's all fake. He's now trying to blame Republicans for the border crisis that's been going on for 3 years because they shot down a bill that did not solve the border crisis. It would be basically set in stone as that like Band-Aid over the gaping wound that's not even like a Band-Aid. A Band-Aid over a gaping wound would actually be a more effective means of solving that problem compared to whatever the hell that border bill was. The Sandwich Man says, if general turnout is high, could Michigan's 7th and 8th flip? If that's the Kildee and Slotkin seat, yeah, I actually believe they could. I think they will, because I think that Trump is going to do better in both of those districts for sure. Awesome Lego 3000 says, I don't know if you've stated your plan one day to run for public office of any kind, but I think you would make a very fine representative for any position you may hold. Love your content, man. Well, I appreciate it, but we've yet to see. I would be open to running for political office at some point, but right now, I mean, I'm still kind of doing the YouTube stuff, and there's a lot of other things I plan on potentially doing. So maybe after I go to law school or something like that, I could potentially run for some sort of office. I'd like to, just depends on what that office would be. So anyways, we are looking at the results. Nothing new on New York Times, it seems. Actually, uncommitted's now at 16%. 10% of the vote is in. Biden's only at 78%. And it's like when you have a higher turnout on the Democrat side, you're seeing Biden do worse. Think about that. But on the Republican side, when you see higher turnout overall, or potentially maybe turnout a little bit lower because of less crossover voting, Trump's doing better. But overall, the raw vote totals Trump's going to get, he's probably going to, according to this, if this holds up, which is not a sure thing, Trump will end up with like 700,000 primary votes when all the votes are counted. Haley's going to be down there probably. I would anticipate she wouldn't even get 300,000 given the fact that a lot of her favorable vote dumps are already in. But we'll see when it's all said and done. But Andrew Mortensen says the only thing Joe is running this country into the ground. It's crazy how poorly he's doing in Michigan right now. Trump is running up crazy margins. He is. And I'm sick and tired of people acting like Trump is like an incumbent and he has no opposition. I mean, he does have opposition within the GOP, prominent opposition. He did not have, going into the 2020 primaries. And still, he's among registered Republicans or people that identify as Republicans. He's still posting very, very wide margins of victory. And all of the DeSantis support went to Trump. They said it wouldn't, but all of it did. I mean, when in regards to Haley, a lot of her supporters never were with Trump to begin with. So what difference does it really make on that regard that you have people opposing Trump in the primary when a lot of those voters just would not have voted in a 2020 Republican primary? So that kind of changes the dynamic. Base Cats has just got back from a dinner date. What did I miss? Well, Trump is running up the score and Biden's underwhelming so far. Simple Logic 90 says, do you think Biden stays in? I don't think they're replacing Biden. We hear a lot of people talking about they're going to replace Biden with Newsom or Michelle Obama or Kamala Harris, which I think it'd be Harris if you did replace him, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's no evidence of it happening other than Biden's unpopular, but when you pull Trump against these other people, Trump does even better, or they do worse against Trump. They understand that they can't replace Biden. It would be horrible optics for them to really do so anyways. They're just weak. They don't have a bench. They know that. As bad as Biden is, he's probably their best chance to win this election. But even then, I'd say Trump's still the favorite. But any new results? Not really. Doesn't seem like there's any new results out of Michigan. Voyager 8294 says, Eagle, do you think the Muslims that are protesting Biden will turn around and vote for him in the general love your content? Well, I'm sure some of them might, but a lot of them probably won't. I think turnout's going to dip. I mean, in the midterms, Tudor Dixon in the Arab precincts was doing, up to 20 points better than Biden. Didn't make a difference or 20 points better than Trump against Biden. Didn't make a difference at the end of the day. Whitmer still ended up winning by like 10. But still, Trump is a different animal. He brings out these voters in Michigan unlike any other candidate. And Biden is a lot more unpopular than Gretchen Whitmer was. I mean, Whitmer's approval rating was still in the low 50s. It should have been lower, but after, the COVID wave, it seemed like a lot of people just kind of forgot about these lockdowns because I guess most people on the internet might not be representative of the average voter that votes in the real world. Obviously, there's overlap, but still. Nasty Mandy says, I'd love to see a Harris-Trump debate. She'd probably have a stroke up there. Well, I think that Harris in general is just going to come off like insufferable. It doesn't even matter who she's really going up against. She's not somebody who's all that strong. Mike Pence didn't really have all the charisma in the world, and he still, took care of her despite all of his flaws. But still, it's going to be interesting to see who Trump does pick as VP this time around. So Haley has fallen below 32 as more votes get tabulated. More votes are coming in. I think Washtenaw County, it's now at 44%. Trump is up by 12 in Washtenaw. And more rural votes are coming in. Trump is cracking 80% in a lot of these counties as well. That's not a good sign for Nikki Haley. That's for sure. But we're still waiting on more results. We kind of had a dry spell. They put in the 10%, and now we've got a long way to go. Now they say Trump plus 47 is the current estimated total. Joseph Wiley says, rep for VP to DanMan966 is love your channel from Canada. But anyways, guys, like the stream. Make sure you guys like up the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. We definitely want to get closer to 166. We're almost there, actually. Compared to when I looked last time, we've gained a few hundred. So Apex Caliber says pros and cons of Tulsi as VP, also Nikki as no labels. Well, I think Nikki as no labels would probably just, arguably you could make the case it would help Trump because you'd see a lot of those never Trumpers who would consider Biden vote for the no labels option instead. In terms of Tulsi as VP, I think that I like Tulsi actually, but I understand the cons of her as VP. The pros of her would be seeing her eviscerate Kamala Harris on the debate stage yet another time. She's also very good on foreign policy. The cons are a lot of voters might not trust her because she was somebody who was a Democrat literally yesterday. I've always liked Tulsi even when she was on the other side. I always found her to be a genuine person overall, but I can understand why people would be skeptical of her as VP, and you don't want something that could depress any potential turnout among the base. So Tulsi, probably a good option for the cabinet. Is she the best VP option? I probably would not say she is, although I think you could do worse. I mean, Nikki Haley would be an option, but it doesn't seem like she's really in the cards. So the Orange Pill Nurse says it would be funny if the Muslims not voted for Biden and then Trump gets elected, he slaps down the Muslim ban, him and MAGA love. Well, I think he's going to do that anyways. I mean, you had a ban of high-risk countries. They say it's a Muslim ban, which technically was just a ban of certain high-risk countries, which happen to be Muslim. But yeah, in reality, I think that ban was popular. I mean, not just among Trump's base, but I think polls have shown up to 60% of people believe that there needed to be some sort of, ban on certain countries that are high risk from entering this country. So yeah, I mean, you look at that, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think that would even be unpopular among a lot of these Muslims because they're already here. They're already citizens. They're already voting. What do they exactly care if, Trump, prevents people from Iran from being able to come, travel, or immigrate to the U.S.? I think, if anything, you should expand the map. I think that there's a big case for severely cutting and cracking down on immigration at this time, both legal and illegal. And now, because you have the border crisis, you definitely have a mandate to actually go out there and do so. We have a problem. We have to get people out. You can't get all these people out that have poured in over the past 4 years when you're importing X amount of people per year with, extra paperwork involved. Alistair says, who would you pick for Trump's VP? It depends. You look at Donald Trump and who he's got on his short list. I'm not thrilled with anybody. I also don't look at anybody and say, hey, I don't want this person to be VP. Kristi Noem might be probably the least excited about, but even then, it's not going to change my vote regardless. She's underwhelming, but I don't think it's like a massive electoral liability. It just depends. I did a tier list about it a few videos ago. You guys can go watch that as well. But there's several options. He might go with Lee Zeldin. He might go with Ben Carson. He might go with Elise Stefanik. He might go with, I don't exactly know. There's a few other names in the mix, though. Tim Scott, some people are saying he's iffy. There's some issues that he's not so good on, obviously, but I don't think it would be the worst option compared to some other people. JT says Winsome Sears for VP. That's not going to happen. First of all, she's a lieutenant governor. And second of all, she's already basically trashed Trump and said that we need to move on. So I don't think she's really going to be in consideration. Rich Waswill says, do you think Trump deportation plans are realistic? I feel like the Marxist judges on the Supreme Court will try to intervene. Let him intervene. He's trying to enforce the law, saying, no, we have to let all these people stay in our country. They cross the border illegally. They have to go back. Every normal country, serious country in the world operates that way. You have all these people pour in, you got to take them out. This is just how it works. You got to take out these people. I don't understand why exactly that would even be controversial in the eyes of many people, but for some reason it is. This is just a big, big mess that's happening right now in our country. And it's all started under Biden. It's gotten even worse as his administration has gone on. And now he's going to try to blame Trump for it for some reason, despite the fact that it started under Biden. Trump instituted Remain in Mexico. What that did is it lowered the number of illegal immigration significantly. And then border crisis happens, and then it spirals out of control. You have millions of people pouring in every year. Even under Trump, when you had like a little spike at the border before Remain in Mexico in 2019, it was nowhere near as high as it is right now. But that was taken care of. This was not. So Andrew Mortensen says, you skipped my $5 super chat. No big. Well, I'll go back and find it. Ducky Dude 138 says, do you think DeSantis is on the cards for VP? No, because he's from Florida. This is it. Serious question, Rep. Why in the world does it take a communist country an hour to count all the votes and we take a vacation when we count ours? Well, it's not even just that. It's literally every single country, third world country, South America, Central America, they count the ballots, efficiently, whatever. But when it comes down to this country, the first world country, we've gotten worse at counting ballots than we were in 2016. I mean, it's a problem. Now, eventually, we're going to get more, vote dumps here. Most votes are going to be counted tonight. States have made changes. Even Arizona Katie Hobbs was forced to pass election integrity legislation in Arizona because she's just extremely incompetent. So thankfully, we were able to sneak one in there. And you're going to see, hopefully, not an election month this time around, which is good. in terms of how long the ballots are counted, but still. Yeah, let's see. Biden, 80,000. He's below 79%. More votes are coming in. Washington is 45%, and uncommitted still at 25%. Uncommitted at 14% in Oakland County. So you're looking at that. Ottawa County, Biden's at 60% in one precinct. That's just abysmal. His numbers across the board are just not good. They're awful. Yeah, Trump is doing well. Let's see. Super chats. The Weekend Angler says, according to AP numbers, Trump is now currently beating Biden in raw vote numbers. That may be true. I mean, it's pretty close here. Kevin Huff says, Tulsi's voting record on conservative tenets like supporting the Second Amendment's abysmal. Should be a mistake as VP. Now, she has wrote an op-ed on Substack where she changed her mind about the Second Amendment. So that's there. I personally understand the complaints. I don't think she would be my number one option for VP, but is it like the biggest liability ever? I don't know. I feel like there's some positions she took because she had to take them because she was elected official in D+40 Hawaii, but still, I don't really, trust her fully. I don't think people should. But her in the cabinet, I think that'd be a good option for Trump. She's very good on foreign policy. She should have been a Secretary of State from the get-go. Instead, he went with Rex Tillerson, who was a disaster, and then Mike Pompeo, who was maybe a slightly less of a disaster, but still a disaster. So JT says, "What about Winston?" I already covered that just now. I just answered that super chat. Andrew Mortensen says, I really want to believe that we have integrity in our elections, but does it concern you at all with how long it takes them to count the votes? Well, what's going to happen here? Trump's going to win the primary by 40-something, maybe even closer to 50, and Biden's going to underperform on the Dem side. I don't think that that's not real. I mean, that's real. We know that's real. So I think it concerns me just for public knowledge more so than it does for integrity. I think that, maybe you could say in a general election it would be a little bit different, but the way that we win is by getting out and voting to the point where it doesn't matter. You have to overflow the system. If Trump wins or not, it's going to take a year to count the ballots anyways. So Mr. Clean says, Nikki hasn't gained a vote in Grand Traverse according to Decision Desk. Let's see here. Well, that's not what it shows me. Dirty Dog says, do you think Trump would choose his son as VP? Absolutely not. That's just not going to happen. Trump's VP is going to be somebody who adds something to the ticket. He's not going to try to double down in the base too much. It's a risky strategy. Maybe you could say it could pay off, but I don't think that Trump thinks that it would. And you saw that with his 2016 pick. He went with Pence. Didn't work out too well, but for other reasons, now it seems like he's going to try to see what he can add to the ticket now, because he's already got the voters that he got when he put Pence on the ticket, the people that were skeptical of him for being like a fake conservative or whatever, the evangelicals. Now the evangelicals are all behind Trump, so now he has to pick somebody who can maybe make up with a different demographic, but not pick somebody who's going to be at odds with his agenda at the same time, but maybe somebody who's liked by a different portion of the party or a different portion of the electorate. I think that's what he's going to try to go for here. So yeah, Mr. Clean sent in the correction. Rich Waswe says, technically illegals have no set removal date and cannot, since they're protected as asylees under the 81 Immigration Act. Trump would be violating that law if he tried deporting them. Well, that's not entirely... Then how do people deport people anyways? How do people that cross the border get deported if there's a law in place that says they can't be deported? That's not entirely how it works. That one oddball says, thoughts on Rand Paul as a potential VP? Well, I mean, I like Rand Paul. I don't know if it would add a lot to the ticket because, like I said, the amount of voters who are libertarian, it's much smaller than you would think, and that's kind of like the one demographic that he would placate by doing so. But there are worse options for sure. John Waffle H2P says, funny how neocons are showing how unintelligent they really are. That's also true. I mean, Nikki Haley's not doing too well, so. She earned the nickname Bird Brain, and now it's like she stays in this race, knowing she has zero shot, knowing her donors are drying up. She's still staying in. It's a vanity project is all it is. It's really just the case. James JHK69 says thoughts on Montana and Ohio Senate races. I think Tester goes while blue-collar workers help Brown stay. Now, I don't think Brown's going to stay in. I think because Trump's on the ballot, Brown is going to go out there and he's going to lose. He's going to lose by less than what Biden's going to lose by for sure, but I think he's going to lose. Moreno's fine. He's not a bad candidate, even if he's not like, the best candidate in the world. But for Ohio, he's a decent fit. And you look at Brown, he's somebody that's never faced a presidential year where Donald Trump's been on the ballot. Even when he was up the last presidential year, he barely outperformed Obama in Ohio. So it's not like this is like an unwinnable race. These blue-collar voters, in many cases, were also the demographic Tim Ryan was supposed to, get carried to victory by, and that didn't exactly happen. How is it exactly going to happen when Donald Trump is on the ticket? So, yeah, I think Tester's going to go. I think Brown is going to go. I don't know what other seats Republicans are going to flip at this point, but they only really need to flip one seat to flip the Senate besides West Virginia, which is pretty much an auto flip, so I'm not really all that worried about it. So we're still waiting on more results. 10% of the vote is reporting Trump is at 64%. Haley's at 31.6%. Sam Madsen says, does Brown win Trumbull County? It depends on the presidential margin. I believe he won it in 2018. I probably would lean towards no at this point. I mean, the guy's voting record is extremely left-leaning. He's in line with Elizabeth Warren on pretty much every issue, but he just pretends like he's not. It's optics, but that's going to catch up to him. Eaters of Dead says Charlie Kirk seems to think that Nikki's staying in to run as a third party if she could pull 2 or 3 states, making Trump lose. Well, she's not pulling a single state if she does that, so she can have at it. It's not going to make a dent in the world. It's not. If anything, she's going to take more votes away from Biden, but even if she gets on the ballot in every state, she's not getting any more than a few percent of the vote anyways. And that vote's probably going to be taken away more so from Biden than it would be Trump. So, yeah, RFK Jr. is also getting on the ballot, it seems like in Georgia, Arizona. That's good news for Trump as well, because polls have shown in those 2 states he's taking votes away from Trump taking votes away from Biden 2-1 compared to what he's taking away from Trump. So they've called Trump the winner. They've called Biden the winner. We're also going to make that projection. The Red Eagle Politics Decision Desk can project Donald Trump the winner of the Michigan Republican primary. He takes Michigan by a lot. Joe Biden also is the projected winner of the Democrat primary, although he's taking it by less than expected. So, more votes are coming in. Donald Trump now at 65% in New York Times. He's doing very well across the board. More votes are coming in. Let's see where the votes are exactly coming in from. Sheboygan County's 44% reporting. Huron County's 46% reporting. Across the board, Trump's getting close to 80% in a lot of these rural counties. It's a very good sign. Monroe County doing well. We have nothing out of Macomb County yet, but we'll likely be getting votes in at some point soon. Polls also have closed in every single county now at this point in Michigan too. So let's see. Wayne County, 1% of the vote is in. Uncommitted only at 10. That's probably going to go up as Dearborn comes in, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. No more super chats right now, but 9,000 people in live chat. Everybody like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 166,000. We are getting closer. Currently, we are approximately just a few hundred away from 166,000. Like the stream, subscribe, hit that bell. And if you have any super chats, feel free to send them in here as we wait on more results to come in. But Donald Trump, the projected winner, I don't know why it took him so long for them to call it. He was never in danger of losing. And it seems as if Haley's going to finish in the 20s. Trump very well is going to finish north of 70% when it's all said and done. A statement victory, I think, wider than what a lot of people anticipated in the state of Michigan. It's a very good sign because it shows that polling in Michigan might not be all that inaccurate if he's doing this well. So we'll see. But he's in a good position, not just to win the rest of the primary states, which it seems like he's going to do, but also the general election. That's the most important thing because he's got the primary already. He's going to be the nominee. Up next is the general election. Is he going to go out there? Is he going to go take on Biden? Is he going to win Michigan? Is he going to flip it back red? If he flips Michigan red, he flips Georgia and Nevada, it's over. He gets 270. I don't think people understand how high Trump's floor is. Because what state did he win in 2020 that he's going to lose? He's not losing Texas. I think he'd be more likely to lose Alaska than he would be to lose Texas, but he's not losing Alaska. He's not losing Texas. He's not losing Ohio, Iowa, or Florida. He's not losing North Carolina either. The suburbs of Charlotte are not all that blue. There's not a lot of room for Democrats to grow there, demographically speaking. Biden had a record black turnout in 2020, even higher than 2008, and he couldn't win the state. He couldn't even get within 1.5% or so. Donald Trump is taking North Carolina. Biden is extremely unpopular across the board. Trump's winning North Carolina. Trump probably wins Georgia. That puts him at 251. There you got to go get me Michigan and Wisconsin. Get me Michigan and Nevada, Michigan and Arizona, Wisconsin and Arizona, or just Pennsylvania would be enough in and of itself to get Donald Trump to cross 270 electoral votes. That's what it's going to come down to. It's not all that difficult. We got to win this thing. I think we can. So Sean Tonneson says, Rep, do you still think Zeldin's in the running for VP? I think he's in the running for VP, but I don't think there's a clear favorite. I really don't. Trump is testing the waters with a lot of different people, and he's going to go from there. But, yeah. Let's see. Any more updates out of the Democrat primary? Does not seem like we have any. Out of any county, does not seem like we have any updates. On the Republican side, overall, the New York Times actually has pulled ahead of Decision Desk in reporting. So either way, Trump has a lot of votes. They're saying that in Macomb County, he's gonna win 74-22. Like across the board, he's running up the score in a lot of these counties that have really just yet to report any sort. Kent County, they have him taking 2/3 of the vote in Kent County. I mean, they already gave him 9 delegates. Haley might not even, well, right now she's not going to get a single one. There's 16 delegates that are going to be allocated from the primary. The rest are going to happen at convention, where Donald Trump is likely going to probably win all of them. Maybe a few will decide to vote for Haley or whatever, or be uncommitted because who knows. But still, he's already got 9 out of the 16. It seems as if he's going to end up carrying probably the lion's share of the rest of them. And Haley, once again, is not really going to get any delegates. Trump is going to get even more. Because we need to look at the delegate tracker here. Trump already has 110. Haley has 20. I think that if you allocate those 9, he's up by pretty much close to 100 right now. And Michigan, I think that we have a couple more minor primaries Trump's going to win before Super Tuesday. After Super Tuesday, he's probably going to be at 1,000 delegates. So sometime in mid-March, he's going to clinch the nomination. There's nothing you could do about it. He's going to clinch the nomination. Yeah, they moved his lead up to Trump by 47 in the final projection. This is an all-out blowout for Donald Trump. The one county in has him at 79, Haley at 17. So, yeah, that is not good news for Nikki Haley. Let's see. Rich Wasby says, Brian Kemp's objectively the best VP pick from a pure electoral perspective, but I think the bridge there is burned. Well, he's an overrated governor, though. That's my problem with Brian Kemp isn't even that he and Trump have a beef or whatever. It's that Brian Kemp is an overrated governor. If you look at his record on incentivizing liberal industry to pour in, or you look at how he's handled immigration, which was his number one selling point. It's why he won in 2018 over Stacey Abrams. He hammered down the issue of rounding up all the illegal aliens in the back of his truck and driving them home himself. But you know what? It didn't really matter, because there's more illegals that are living in Georgia than there are even living in Arizona under his own watch. He could at least try to change the course of Georgia, but instead he's done the opposite, which is a big problem. Gordon Quaid says, "Who do you want the VP versus who do you think it will be?" Well, like I said, I think that there's a few decent options Trump could choose from. Zeldin, Carson, Stefanik, you name it. I think it's going to probably be one of those. The only person that I probably would not want that's floated is Kristi Noem, but I don't think she's as much of a sure thing for Trump's VP as she was before. I don't even think she's the front runner. But Trump said himself that his front runner, he only has like a 25% certainty it's going to be them, which is not even close to being a half of certainty. So let's see. Jason Christie says, not for electability. I would say Zeldin, bro, knows how to make a bad situation work. Yeah, I mean, that's another selling point. He also has experience in Congress. I think he could help Trump's agenda get passed through. Kelly Johnson says, are Republican or Democrats voting uncommitted, and why? Democrats are voting uncommitted because they're protesting Biden's handling of the Palestine conflict and/or because they just don't like Biden. Biden is below 80% as an incumbent president. That is a warning sign, especially as a lot of Democrat voters are crossing over for Haley as well. Factor them into the equation. He's like getting probably like not even 2/3 of Democrat or Dem-leaning support. But yeah, no, it's mainly Democrats voting uncommitted. You have some Republicans that are voting uncommitted, but it's just 2% of the electorate. It is not close to a majority of the electorate. Now Trump's lead is back up to 48. It's back up to 72-24. And as more results get reported in, Donald Trump's lead is going to likely increase. But we have a long way to go. For some reason, Donald Trump is going to do better in the counties that are remaining. Kent County, the one precinct that's in, Donald Trump is only up by 4. But still, that's one precinct in Kent County. They anticipate that Trump is going to win 67% of the remaining vote in Kent County, as the rest of the results do pour in. So we have 8,600 live viewers. Again, guys, like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you guys don't miss any future streams. We are knocking on the door of 166,000 subs. That was our sub goal for February. Seems like we're going to hit it. It was a little bit lofty initially, as some people thought, but seems like we're going to be there pretty shortly. But let's see. New York Times says 48%. Where? 48% on the Needle. We love the Needle. Say what you will about the New York Times. Their election results and everything like that, they make it easy. They're actually really good when it comes down to that. As bad as they are in many other ways, they're competent. I would rather look at them than Decision Desk or Politico or any of these other specific networks. So that's the one thing they got right, is their election coverage. So Jason Christie says, Christie for VP. He has a lot of weight in the GOP. It's true. Christie Abrams, Make America Fat Again. That'd be the unity ticket that would unite the country. SMW Physicist says, live in Texas and vote early for Mr. 45. Cannot wait to vote for him again in November so we can save the country. Yeah, Texas is an open primary, but I anticipate that Haley does very poorly there, because that's the same day the Democrats have to vote for their primaries, who's going to be their Senate nominee, the down ballot nominees, you name it. So I anticipate Trump to do very, very well in Texas, but we'll watch turnout overall. But that's a huge state, because that was not Trump's best state in 2016 in the primary, but now it's a different ball game. Donald Trump's in a very, very good position, it seems, to go out there and win the state of Texas yet again, possibly rebound in some of these suburbs that he's struggled in. Not every county. I think he'd probably still do worse in Collin and Denton and, I don't know, maybe even like Montgomery in the Austin area, but like in even the big counties like Dallas, Tarrant, Harris, which is where Houston is, might be turning a corner. Depends on Hispanic trends as well. Can't really tell based on the midterms because turnout overall was lower among those low propensity voters, but Republicans still did even better. So we'll see. Nasty Mandy says, no viable candidates from swing states for VP. Does not seem like there is. I've not seen Scott Walker's name floated around, but that would be interesting. But haven't really heard much about that. So let's see, any more? Oh yeah, Trump's lead in Kent just increased to 16. We're not in trouble there. Ionia County, he's at 72. All these little counties are adding up. They're adding up. Trump's in good position. Oh, Jackson County, 4% reporting. That is a smaller metro area. These are the metro areas in the I-94 corridor. That is helping Donald Trump potentially win if he's able to increase his vote share in Battle Creek area, Jackson, even Macomb County and some of these, thumb counties as well. And they all add up. If you're driving from Detroit to Chicago and vice versa, you know exactly what area I'm talking about. But there is a sizable population. It's not always suburbs versus rural versus urban. I mean, you have all these smaller metros that are filled with white working class voters in Michigan. They add up, and they will carry Donald Trump to victory if he wins the state of Michigan. Panthers Kingdom podcast is how come Michigan's already been called? Because Donald Trump's going to win Michigan. It should have been called a long time ago. So let's see here. And this is huge. If this is true and 10% of the vote has been reported, Donald Trump ends up with 1.2 million views, or not views, votes. That would be something. Because take this into consideration. Donald Trump in the primary would be getting almost as many votes as Tudor Dixon got in the general election for governor. It just shows how Donald Trump can energize, even in a primary, these low propensity voters. He can do that, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. Trump by 48 when it's all said and done. That's an open primary too. That's contested. Nikki Haley's been out spending Trump. Trump just does one rally in Waterford. We'll see who ends up winning. But we don't even have any votes in from Macomb County. I don't believe so. That's another Trump stronghold. That's where those, Reagan Democrats lived back in the day. It's where Donald Trump, used to win Michigan in 2016. I mean, seriously. He's running up the score. The only county that's going to be beneficial to Haley is probably Ingham. But even then, she's not going to win Washtenaw when it's all said and done. So I don't believe that she's going to win a single county in Michigan, despite it being an open primary and her winning a county in every primary state so far, except for Nevada. But I don't really count Nevada. But she did lose to nobody there, so nobody won every single county. Although it was lower turnout. If you pitted her against Trump in that primary, Donald Trump probably would have probably won like 80% of the vote there, or close to it. But you look at the key swing states. Trump doing very well in Nevada overall, even as none of these candidates in a primary that didn't count. Then he runs up records in a caucus that was uncontested. Then you go to Michigan, and he ends up possibly getting like 1.1 million votes. That's brutal. So Wayne County, not a lot in Wayne. Washtenaw, Biden's only getting 22,000. He's only going to end up with like 40,000 votes in that primary. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see when it's all said and done. But Faith Fitness, is anyone ready to hear Haley say I will continue to fight to save this country? Oh, I'm sure she will. She's delusional. She's a train wreck. We know that. She's a complete and total disaster. Part of it's delusion. Part of it is intent. She's both. It would imply she doesn't know what she's doing and that she knows exactly what she's doing. And it takes a person as insane as Nikki Haley to correct that irreconcilable paradox there. That's how out of touch with reality she truly is, folks. But that's the way it is. So anyways, guys, again, like the stream. We had 5,000 likes. Can we get to 6,000? I don't know. Can we? Like the stream. Subscribe. We are knocking on the door of 166,000 subscribers. Make sure you guys subscribe. Jay Shug says, were you concerned about Democrats using Trump's word against him during the speech that he made at the Black Conservative Federation Gala? I didn't even know what they said. They keep posting videos of Trump's quotes out of context, and even then they make him look cool. So what exactly are they going to do? Use his words against him? What words are they going to use against him? Like, oh, Trump said he could only see black people in the crowd because it was so bright. That's peak Trump. It's funny. Everybody knows this. It's like when Trump said back in the day, look at my African American over there. You know, the media went ballistic, but it was actually pretty funny. And most people now look at that and they're like, that was hilarious. But they're just trying to drum up something because they have nothing. And the more they do it, the more unhinged they get. It's so obvious they're taking Trump out of context, trying to make him look bad because they have nothing to run on. Literally nothing. Even the abortion issue, it's not as front and center as it was back in 2022 even. And Trump is not somebody who's like a Tudor Dixon, Doug Mastriano type of like electoral approach to abortion where they say ban it without exception. He's like a hands-off type of guy on the issue because he knows it's like a political third rail. Like Kyle, thank you for the 2. Elizabeth R.P. says, Trump is my dad. Trump is, he's America's, hopefully he could be America's dad once again when he's in the White House. Peter Dukas has described a Trump 20, DeSantis RFK 24 voter, like 200 people on Twitter. Like that's who it would be. But like, there's no DeSantis voters. Like everyone's like, there's millions, you're insulting millions of DeSantis voters if you insult DeSantis. But in reality, DeSantis got like 20,000 votes in Iowa and dropped out. So what's DeSantis at right here? He's dropped out. He's not even getting, he's getting 1% of the vote. Like that's the DeSantis or bust crowd. Like a lot of those people just forgot he dropped out or probably are going to vote for Trump anyways. And they just don't pay attention to politics, but they like both. Like that's the reality. Those voters don't exist. They exist on Twitter, but not in the real world. Sam Madsen says, what would Majewski's margin have been if Trump was on the ballot in 2022? Probably lower single digits of loss. I think that with Trump on the ticket, like you see these candidates who don't really have a lot of political experience or backing or who would lose when he's not on the ballot. They do very, very well when he's on the ballot. That's why you have people like MTG, Boebert, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar. Like when Trump's on the ballot, they're outperforming Donald Trump every single time. But when Trump is not on the ballot, in some cases, they may underperform a little bit. Not all of them do it, but some of them do it. But yeah, Majewski is somebody who probably is not even going to get the nomination. I don't even think he's going to run, honestly, at this point, because there's been reports he's going to drop out. It seems like he's not going to get any backing from the for the primary from Mike Johnson, and I don't personally think that he's going to win if he is the nominee. I like the guy, but just, last time he lost by 16 points. 16, like, that's not exactly, it's not a recipe for victory if you're losing by 16. Running again, you don't see a turnaround like that. You just don't. I like the guy, but, seeing a 16-point turnaround would be just insane. Let's see. Base Cat says, why do shitlibs keep doing mental gymnastics on Blump's primary margins? Their cope in November is going to be glorious because that's what they're doing. We can't get complacent. I don't like this complacency thing. Like 2022, I feel like we were too complacent. But looking at the margins, like this is not a sign Trump's in trouble because you have an open primary. Democrats have been instructed to vote for Haley in many cases. I mean, Biden currently is also struggling. Does that mean that he's in trouble? Donald Trump, when it's all said and done, is projected to win with what seems to be approximately 72% of the vote. Joe Biden right now is an incumbent president with no opposition, and he is getting, 79% of the vote? And you don't even have the uncommitted vote in from Dearborn yet. That probably is going to be uncommitted's strongest precincts. So the cope is strong, but it doesn't mean anything. And a good chunk of those Haley voters will vote for Trump. They will. But a good chunk of them would have never voted for him to begin with. The amount of I voted for Trump and then I'm voting for Haley but will never vote for Trump again vote is not a big portion of the Republican electorate. It's not. So let's see. Snipes127 says, look at the total number of votes in each primary. We've been doing that. The Democrats have 140,000. Republicans have almost 200,000, and more of the Democrat vote is in than the Republican vote. So Donald Trump likely is going to do better than Joe Biden when it's all said and done. Easily, I would anticipate. Let's see. FM32047 says Trump received a threatening letter with powder sent to him today. It's out of control. If something happens to him, it would start WW3. That's a different political climate. But yeah, it would cause chaos. Luckily, he's well protected. He's probably going to be fine. But yeah, it is scary. Absolutely. But Haley's below 30. Haley got below 30. Not looking too good for Haley. Nothing in from Macomb. Really nothing in from a lot of these other deep red counties as well. So we're waiting on a lot of them too. Nothing in from Saginaw. Saginaw County, Trump is likely going to win that one by a lot. Carl says Donald Trump will have a bigger percentage than Joe Biden, and Dems uncommitted will beat out Haley's. I don't think that's going to happen. But it will be close enough for it to be embarrassing because Joe Biden is an incumbent president. This is not some situation where, looking at it, Donald Trump is struggling because he's having defections and Joe Biden's doing really well in the primary. He's unstoppable, Dark Brandon. It's not working that way. People lie. They sit up here. They posture. They claim that's the way these things are going. It's not the way things are going whatsoever. Donald Trump's in a very good position. He's going to crack 70. Biden's not going to crack 80. But Biden is an incumbent president with zero serious opposition. Biden should not be doing that poorly. He should be getting in the 90s. Trump got 93% in the Michigan primary in 2020. So look at that for comparison. Tommy Robinson says undecided overperforming partially because Biden voters voted for Nikki Haley. I don't really think it's overperforming. I don't think it was really ever polled that much. Kyle says, is Michigan your home state? Yes, it is. Love your channel. Thank you. But yeah, Trump is going to end up with over 70. But why is it taking this long? We've been here for 90 minutes, over 90 minutes. Donald Trump has got 2/3 of the vote in, but 11% of the vote is in. And yeah, another big victory. I'm sure there's going to be coping. On social media. I'm sure. But it's looking good for Donald Trump. It's not looking good for Joe Biden. Biden's percentage being higher doesn't necessarily mean anything. That's the way it is. So this is a blowout. And it's only going to get worse for Nikki Haley from this point forward. Super Tuesday, I hope she stays in. I really do. Because I like seeing her getting embarrassed. This is lightweight compared to what's going to happen in Texas or a lot of these southern states or some of these closed primaries. Super Tuesday is going to be fun. I hope she stays in, until until the end of March, just because it is fun seeing her lose. It is a lot of fun. I'm not going to apologize for it. She's draining more resources from Democrats than she is from Republicans at this point. Yeah, why not have her stay in? What the hell is there to lose at this point? Let's see. Matthew Schneider says, do you think the construction unions in New York will turn on Democrats when the investors leave because of the Trump verdict? Well, I think that you're going to see those types of unions and voters vote for Donald Trump in large numbers. I don't think it's going to be enough to flip a state like New York, but that is a problem that Democrats are going to have in a place like Michigan, where Biden's going to struggle with his own base. And what's he going to do after this? Is he going to recognize a Palestinian state or call for a ceasefire or whatever? What is that going to do? Now you have the other side of the conflict turning on him. The other side's going to say, well, it waited too long. You waited too long, Joe. There's no real pathway for Biden to take about this conflict that's going to placate every single side. If he recognizes a Palestinian state, he's going to lose a lot of voters that way too. He's going to lose a lot of donors that way too. It's not a popular position. It's really not. So, Biden is going to continue to struggle. Wayne County, we don't have a lot of votes in there. Kent County, more votes are being reported. Trump's up by 16. That's supposed to be like his weakest county. It's not looking too good. Let's see. Ingham County's in 10%. Trump is he's probably going to crack 60 in Ingham. Uncommitted's at 11. I'm shocked uncommitted's not doing better in a county like Ingham. It depends on where those votes are coming in from. Seems like the precincts they have in are probably more likely than not in East Lansing, not like on the MSU campus or anything like that. But Livingston County, half of the vote is in there. Biden's up, but he's only at 81%. This is just brutal. This is just brutal. Johnny Hartdog says, I would have loved to see Trump versus Perot election. Well, they're pretty similar in ideology, especially back then, to the point where I don't think it would have really amounted to much. So 16% of the vote is in. On the Democrat side, they say 16 here, but in reality, let's see, the Republican side. Yeah, it seems like there are more votes on decision desk than there are in New York Times. The needle keeps moving back between 47% and 48%. I think when Macomb County comes in, we're going to have a much better picture of what it's looking like. So we'll see. But, yeah, Trump he's doing well. So far, so good. But we have more votes that need to be counted, more votes that need to be tabulated here across the board. You've got, we're now 12% in on New York Times. Biden probably is going to finish with like 700,000 votes when it's all said and done. Donald Trump is probably going to finish with about 1 million votes or thereabouts. When all those votes are tabulated, we still have a lot of votes that have not yet been reported across the state, though. But Donald Trump is in a very good position. He's winning big in a lot of these counties, despite it being an open primary. Michigan, like I said, is his best state to date. That much is true. But anyways, guys, make sure you like the stream. We're almost to 6,000 likes. We definitely can get there. We have the manpower in chat to do so. Also, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we are still knocking on the door of 166,000 subscribers. That is our monthly goal. We are almost there. Let's get there. We've had a lot of people tune in tonight. 100,000 people stopped by the stream so far in total. You absolutely love to see it. So make sure you guys like the stream, subscribe. Let's get there. Donald Trump is getting there. He's already been projected the winner out of Michigan. On the Democrat side, Joe Biden, he's projected the winner, but he's an incumbent who's not even cracking 80%. He might, when it's all said and done, depending on the votes that are left out, but still, there's a lot of uncommitted vote in Wayne that is expected to come in that has not yet come in, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. So we'll see. But we're just, Macomb County has votes in. 2% of the vote is in Macomb County. Donald Trump has 82% of the vote in Macomb County. That is, I believe, the third largest county in Michigan. I believe. Yeah, it would be third behind Wayne and Oakland. That is huge. But Donald Trump in a very strong position. Let's see. Alex RX says Biden is toast. People think that posting a dark Brandon meme after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl will change things? Does the government want us to believe that Joe Biden can operate a computer? Yeah, and make the meme himself is another thing. Do you think Joe Biden put that meme together? Or do you think it was some staffer? It obviously was some staffer. And it wasn't even funny. It wasn't. But it's just like, oh, well, look, conservatives are being schizophrenic about football on the internet. Here, let me post a meme that's going to be eventually used against me, which it has been. That just like we drew that up with the laser eyes, put that on anything that's going on. You see an article about inflation or gas prices or immigration or foreign policy disaster, put it on that. It just completely works. They give us ammunition even when they try to mimic our memes. Daniel Krieger for $50 says, hey, Rep, great to see you back with the live coverages. Keep up the great work. I know you say Vermont may be a question mark in the primary, but I think that Massachusetts, Maine, Maryland, and New Jersey, because of rhinos like Collins and Baker, well, I don't think that those states are going to be close in the primary whatsoever, actually. If Dan Cox could win Maryland, I think Donald Trump is going to win it easily. Maine shouldn't be a problem at all, especially with the 2nd district. The reason why those candidates have, got elected to office was because people voted for them strategically in a primary because they knew they were the only ones who could win. But Vermont is just a state with that many Democrats and disillusion with Biden, so you never know there. Kelly Johnson says, why would Don and Vivek be on the ballot if they dropped out a long time ago? I assume you mean Ron. It would confuse me if I saw that. Well, they're going to be on the ballot because the ballots are made long before the primaries take place. So that's why you have people like DeSantis and even Chris Christie getting 910 votes in the primary. Even Hutchinson is there. I guess, that last name it does run deep in Michigan, especially recently. So that might explain the 200 votes there. They think they're voting for Aiden. No, they're voting for some rhino. But, it's just because they print the ballots long before the primary actually takes place. So let's see. Stephen Kanizik for 20 says, I'm starting to mock Ron cultists by counting Ron's votes in comparison to Christie, since all their sound makes them close to the silent Christie voters. For instance, Ron is currently earning 2 whole Christies in Michigan. Yeah, well, here's the deal. These people on Twitter, I just hit don't see and feed, see less from them and feed, and then they just go away. And that's what people need to start doing. Don't give these people the time of day. Don't, feed their dopamine. They want the attention. They want to cause chaos. They do it because they think it's funny or whatever. Don't give them the attention. They're not relevant. They're like 20 people, and they all live in Florida anyways. And Florida's going to vote for Trump anyways by a lot. So whatever these people say has no bearing on the election. It doesn't. A lot of these accounts are intentional people, agents of chaos. We cannot allow that to happen. We cannot allow these people to, go out there and dictate discourse in this election when they're that irrelevant in real life. I think most people that vote for Ron DeSantis or supported Ron DeSantis initially in the primary happen to be good people, but they're not represented by these clowns on social media. Like, yeah, we have to reach out to voters. I think there's some decent Haley voters. I don't know why they're doing it. They have their reasons. I don't like their reasons, but, you got to reach these people at some point anyways. Like, the Haley donors are different. The DeSantis influencers are different. But, a good portion of that 70,000 people are probably very good people. They just have their reasons. And a lot of them will vote for Donald Trump at the end of the day when it's all said and done. The internet's not entirely all of real life, but you need to communicate to these people that Nikki Haley is a disaster. Maybe they don't know, or some of these people are not good people and they're never going to vote for Trump and they never have voted for Trump in the first place. That's different. But still, the Iranian Putin says a Ben Carson VP would be epic. I would be down. Peter Duca says, big fan rep. I'm a moderate liberal who's voting for RFK but can't vote Dem because of immigration and identity politics. I can't vote Trump because he's too hawkish. Can I ask you what state you are from? I'd be curious to find out. Zach Webster says, Michigan moment. Let's not report over 20% in 2 hours. Well, they've done it in the past. I don't know why they're not doing it right now. And the reason, Peter, I ask what state or what if you're from a swing state or not is because I'm kind of curious if that's, weighing on your vote. Because in terms of Trump being hawkish, he's probably one of the least hawkish presidents in terms of his attempt to de-escalate certain conflicts that we've had, in my opinion. But check the primary. 18% of the vote is now in. Trump's lead is increasing. It's almost at 40 points as of right now. It's only going to go. It's probably going to again increase. They have it now at Trump plus 43. He's going to get 70% when it's all said and done. That's huge. Biden on the Democrat side still below 80%. Wayne County is not yet in. Peter Dukas is from Nova, live in Tennessee now. Well, again, if you're voting third party in a deep red state, it's not going to make an impact. But still, I would encourage people to vote for Trump anyways. I mean, you talk about immigration, you talk about foreign policy. I think that, wasting a vote or a protest vote or whatever you want to call it on somebody that would probably have Trump's same foreign policy if they got in there at best, and somebody who, would just take votes away from either side, I would just encourage people to vote for Trump. Doomsday Machine says Haley got 20 delegates and Christie is 10 of them. Well, Christie 10 of them would be also accurate. But yeah, Haley is not doing too well in the delegate count, which is one of the reasons why she's not going to have a shot to win. She said, we did well. We got 40% of the vote almost in South Carolina. She got 3 delegates. The delegates is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. So winner take all state with, I think they allow some delegates to go to the winner of congressional districts. She won one district by a few hundred votes. She got 3 delegates. That's it. Let's see. More super chats here. Eric Waslowski says Trump Gabbard is the ticket. Johnny Heartdog says it's over. I hope y'all have a good night. I'll watch the rest tomorrow. Well, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the super chats. John Scott says Nikki Haley supports Ukraine. I like that. Okay. Well, I think that the majority of the Republican electorate would disagree when it comes down to that. Nikki Haley, in fact, one of the reasons why she's not doing so well is because she cares more about other countries than she does the country she's running for president in. That's not something you need. The strength of America doesn't come from intervention. This is the problem that a lot of these neocons don't understand. Just not funding a certain conflict doesn't mean that you're letting Russia take over the entire continent of Europe. They don't even have the intentions of doing that in the first place. But the more that they get provoked, the intentions of that happening are probably going to increase sizably. So, again, 18% of the vote is in. We don't even have 20% in. This has gone on for almost 2 hours, and we have 18% of the vote in. If you guys want to keep the conversation going while the votes are counted, feel free to send in super chats. We hit 6,400 likes. Can we get to 7,000? That might be a little bit of a tall task, but we technically do have the manpower to do it. We have 7,200 people in chat watching, so like the stream down below. Let's see if we can get to 7,000. We are knocking on the door. Also, of 166,000 subscribers, we are just about 100 away. Can we do it? Do we have enough people to do it? 166,000. Can we get there? Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss a future stream. I'll be streaming on Super Tuesday, by the way. The Commander says Washtenaw County, home of U of M, has about 21% uncommitted on the Democrat ballot. We covered this. It was a little bit higher earlier, depending on the precincts. I'm sure there's some precincts where it's getting closer to 40%. But yeah, that's Trump's weakest county as well. But still, he's doing relatively well in Oakland County. He's got, even doing well in Oakland County. 59% of the vote is in. He's doing pretty well. So we're looking at this here. Donald Trump, they now estimate him to win by 43. That's down from where it was, but it's still higher than I think a lot of people anticipated. This is an open primary. He's still doing very well. He still is on track to potentially go out there and get close to 1 million votes. He's ready to go out there and potentially break. I don't know what the primary record for Michigan would be. The 2016 Michigan Republican primary, in terms of the total vote count on the Republican side, was 1.3 million. Trump got 483,000 votes in that primary, which probably is close to the record. On the Democrat side, if we can see this here, Bernie Sanders got almost 600,000 votes. In 2020 on the Republican side, Trump got 640,000 votes. I think that's the record. That has to be the record. Biden actually got 840 on the Democrat side, but it was relatively contested. So can Donald Trump break 840,000? I think that would be the record in the Michigan primary for either side. Can he do it? It depends. If I get out the calculator, maybe we could do some math. He's got 154,950. Divide that by 0.18. It would put him at 860,833 votes. That's close to it. That's pretty close to it. Actually, I think it would give him the record. He's going to get close to it if this holds. If the margin of what's left out there holds, he's going to get close to it. If there are that many voters in the primary, he will get close to it. If not even top it, top the number I said, if he's going to go out there and get, 69% of the primary vote, which they do keep revising it below 70, but still he's doing very well. Haley's below 30, which is also very important. And also what's important is that Joe Biden is below 80. So either way, big win for Donald Trump. Biden, win, but you're facing nobody and you're not even getting 80% of your own party support. So that's not exactly a good sign for him. This is a good sign for Donald Trump. The only cope is, well, this amount of people aren't voting for him in a primary, but again, open primary. If this was a closed primary, maybe you could have an argument that Haley's getting 25% of the vote. But that's not an open primary. So doesn't exactly make the point that they're trying to make when they say this. Meanwhile, it's not like you have Republicans that are crossing over to vote for uncommitted on the Democrat side when they're just going to vote for Trump or Haley. So this shows that you have a base issue. Those 25,000 voters not voting for Biden in a general election, it all adds up. That's never a good sign. It's never a good sign to have that many defections from your own party. So we have 7,000 live viewers. Still, guys, like the stream. We're getting closer to 7,000 likes. We're getting closer and closer. And in terms of the subscriber meter, we're almost to 166,000. And that much is true. Next week, Super Tuesday. That's a huge one. That's a big stream. That's going to be a very, very long, drawn-out process. And I'm looking forward to it because that's kind of where all of the all these states are. You guys want to see what states are going to be up for grabs on Super Tuesday? We can look at them. And we have Idaho and we have Missouri on March 2nd, which I believe is that a Friday or a Saturday? I believe it's actually a Saturday. March 2nd is a Saturday. March 3rd, we have DC. March 4th, we have North Dakota. So it's like every single day we have all these primaries. I don't know if I'm going to stream all of them, but I'm sure I'll at least stream some of them. And then Super Tuesday, Alabama, Alaska. Well, we're probably not going to stay up until Alaska, but Trump likely wins it big. American Samoa, Arkansas, California. That's the biggest delegate haul because California is the biggest state. Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina. I think they do the down ballot primaries that day as well. I could be wrong. Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, which is another big one, and they do the down ballot primaries for that day as well. Same thing with California, by the way. Utah, which is 40. That's another state that Haley thinks she can win. Delusional. Vermont and Virginia. Now, the next Tuesday, you have Georgia, which I don't think Haley, if Haley's still in at this point, she's probably going to focus all of her eggs in the Georgia basket. That's where a lot of Democrat crossovers save people like Raffensperger in 2022. It would not be enough to save her. Hawaii, Mississippi, Washington, and then the next Tuesday you have a lot of primaries. Florida, that's going to be huge for Trump to watch the margins there. I'm sure turnout's going to dip in these later states, but I mean, still, just watching the percentages is going to be fun. So 20% of the vote is now in. Donald Trump is at 66.2%. Haley is at 29%. And more votes come in. Macomb County, 6% in. Donald Trump nearing 80% of the vote in Macomb County. He's doing very well across the board. We have nothing in yet out of Wayne. He's doing decently well in Kent, despite it being a county. A lot of people said Haley would win. Genesee, not a lot's in there. Nothing in from Saginaw either. There's a lot of these like little counties up here that don't have any votes in that are going to fill out eventually. But Donald Trump is going to win Michigan by 40 points or more. It seems like when it's all said and done, his lead right now is like 38. Let's see. Papa Tango says, what do you think of crypto? I know the Massachusetts Republican Senate candidate is pro-crypto and Trump is true. Support John Deaton to save crypto. I don't have much of an opinion on crypto. A lot of people talk about it. So many people don't even know what it is. I'm not saying it's not important. It's something people tend to invest in. I'm not entirely the most well-versed in policy regarding what we should do about crypto, but I oppose a crypto central bank, and so does Donald Trump as well. Krishan Lal says, does Sleepy Ben have a bigger appeal in the Rust Belt than Noam and other possible VP candidates? Well, Noam might have baggage. She has an alleged affair or two in her closet, and I don't know if Trump wants that additional added, baggage. Trump himself in the personal life, he's been critiqued for baggage there. Is he going to want somebody else that's going to have baggage in that department? I don't know. And she's also somebody who likes the spotlight a lot. I don't think Trump is looking for somebody like that, which also kind of takes Vivek out of play to the disappointment of a lot of people. But I don't know. Ben Carson's from Michigan, so he has that. But I don't know. The Ben Carson thing, I think there's some legitimate gripes. His debatability. He kind of got destroyed arguably a couple times in the debates back in 2016 in the primary. But he's a decent guy, and I think given the fact that his debate opponent is Kamala Harris, he could probably do pretty well against her. But he does come across like he's half asleep a lot. That is a legitimate criticism, although you could make the case that he softens Trump's image too. Sam Madsen says, what percentage does Haley get in Vermont? Probably similar to New Hampshire. I don't know. I could see it being in the 40s, even though it doesn't seem like she's really trying up there from what I've seen. I haven't seen her going up there. Oh, Haley got 2 delegates, her consolation prize. Look at that. Interesting. But 20% of the vote is in. Donald Trump with 171,000 votes currently. He's got almost 2/3 of the electorate behind him in Michigan. So there's that. But you're looking at this, and it's huge. Donald Trump may well break the record yet again. Let me just calculate some numbers here. Yeah, 855,000 votes projected as it stands. That might change, but if that holds, that would be the record. Joe Biden, on the other hand, is not going to be able to get there with these current numbers. The Democrats as a whole would probably well, they might get there combined, but still, a lot of Oakland's already in. A lot of these Democrat areas are already in. I don't know if they really have the means of getting there, but we'll see. We'll see when it's all said and done. But Biden's still below 80%. Wayne County uncommitted so far at 24%. If that holds up, that means Biden probably is held below 80% when it's all said and done. But it's still very early. We'll see. But okay, we hit 7,000 likes. I don't know if we can get to 7,500, but maybe when the stream is over and people are watching on replay, it could get there. But T-Paw says, South Carolina, how do you feel about your governor? I assume you're talking about Haley. Haley was despised in South Carolina by a big portion of the electorate, which is precisely why she got completely destroyed in the primary. But still, their current governor, they like their current governor. He won re-election by 17 points over somebody who was, seen by many people to be the strong candidate. Oh, he would contend for it. Didn't exactly work out too well. McMaster won with a resounding margin. So, yeah, you have a MAGA governor there. He's doing a very good job, much better than Nikki Haley. I think he was the first governor to come out and support Donald Trump in his re-election bid as well. So there's that. But still, votes are being tabulated. They are coming in, it seems. They say the remaining votes in Washtenaw will favor Haley, but not by enough for her to win the county. It's not like it really matters. Trump will overwhelmingly take this primary with a big victory. He's now up by 38 points. 21% of the vote is in. On the Democrat side, Biden's at 79.3. I would like Trump to crack 70. I don't know if he's going to be able to, but I would like for him to get to 70. They have him at 69, but still there's a possibility he can. Haley continues falling in all of these vote drops that we see. Trump's up by 38. He was up by 31, 32 when there was 10% reporting. So a lot of votes left to be tabulated that are going to favor Donald Trump as well. But the AP called it. It's Jover for Biden and Haley, despite Biden technically winning. Haley just got a vote dump. I don't know where that was from. I don't know where that came in from. I think it might have been from Ingham or something, but it doesn't matter. Donald Trump still leads by a lot. Let's see. Benjamin James says, in South Carolina, Trump beat both Haley and Biden combined by 25,000 raw votes. You think Trump will repeat that performance in Michigan? Well, currently, Biden is at 144,000. Trump is up by 103,000. So I don't think so, but he doesn't have to. It's not the best indicator in the world. Andrew McKenzie says, Ben Carson's only 5 years younger than Trump. You need somebody who can take the old age factor away from the ticket. I mean, that would be helpful. Like I said, I don't think Carson is the front runner. I just think he's on the short list, and I think a lot of people would like him. T-Paw says, no, I'm from South Carolina. Your governor? Well, my current governor would be Greg Abbott, and I think that he's very hit or miss. But ever since he won re-election, he's actually been trying to take more action on the border, it seems, which is good. Hopefully we actually get something out of it. He's defied Biden in many regards, which is a good thing. Jonathan RWY says Byron Donald will be the VP pick. Trump Donalds, why not? Well, the problem with that is, like I said, he's from Florida. I don't think Trump is going to pick a VP candidate that is from the state of Florida, because what that essentially would do is put somebody on the ticket who would not be eligible to, get the electoral votes in that state, which is 30 electoral votes. It's the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. Now, Trump could change his residency, but I don't see it happening, especially now with all of these trials going on. It just complicates a lot of things. So I think he's going to steer clear. But I think Donalds would be a pretty good VP for Trump in theory. Grant Mandel says, how can Trump use Israel and Palestine issue to his advantage, especially in a place like Michigan? Well, he would have to talk about the fact that when he was president. You saw peace deals get negotiated all over the place in the Middle East. You had that with the Abraham Accords. That was a very good thing to see happen. You see, these, conflicts that were taking place. You see them get kind of de-escalated. And now, where you have this conflict with Palestine going on, you need somebody who's capable of getting people in a room and negotiating peace. Trump's the negotiator. He's done it all over the world. He even talked to Kim Jong-un and got him to come to the table on certain things. Like, he was able to do that of all things. He was able to, keep Putin at an arm's length, kind of like treat your friends close but enemies closer sort of deal. Like, that's his foreign policy, and it definitely works out to his advantage. He's very good at that. And I think that just because you had relative peace under Trump, I think that that's kind of the pitch to voters, and I think it's one that sells pretty well. So we'll see. But now you're at 22% of the vote reporting Donald Trump at 185,000 votes so far. A lot of vote left to count. But still, if this continues, he would break the record. But it does seem as if he's at risk of falling under, depending on the estimates. But he's going to get close to the record. He's going to get closer to the record than Biden, that's for sure, at this point. Biden still manages to be below 80% of the vote. He just increased, by the way. Is he going to get 80? He might, but still, I had him in the mid to high 80s. He's not going to get that regardless. They don't have a needle for the Democrat side, so we can't gauge it as well, but we'll have to see. Let's see. All right, we're almost to 7,500. Again, guys, it's currently 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Like the stream down below. Subscribe. We are 60 away from 166K. We'll see if we can get there. If not, that's perfectly fine. But Saga says, voted for Trump today in Leelanau County. You think it's possible Trump flips the Traverse area back in the general? I think it's possible. People need to understand that Joe Biden is extremely unpopular. He's extremely unpopular across the board. It's not entirely reflected in all of these primary results in this data. But unless you see some massive Biden recovery, I can't see him winning re-election. Now, I'm sure he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. I'm not saying you have to take this lightly. This is a very important election that's going to be very close, more likely than not. But still, it's very winnable for Trump. We got to be cautiously optimistic and also motivated, because that's another big thing. M says, will you cover House primaries on Super Tuesday? Of course. Of course we'll cover House primaries. We have to. There's a lot of big ones in California, in Texas, you name it. But Donald Trump doing very well. He's up by 30 in Oakland County still, with almost 70% of the vote is in. Macomb County still maintaining a massive lead. That's huge. They say he's going to net 50,000 more votes just from Macomb County over Haley alone. That's crazy. Wayne County, there's a lot of votes that haven't been tabulated there either. Bowl of Special K says, you're my favorite politics channel. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Many people are saying this. Many people are. We have 6,500 people in chat, if that tells you something about it. So, Andrew Morton says, we can only elect Donald Trump, Dopey Joey. Yeah, that is technically a Joe Biden quote, because he can't speak English properly. He can't. Let's see. 4% of the vote still in Wayne County. Uncommitted is at 24%. I don't know if that's going to increase or drop, but it's probably winning some precincts for sure in the Dearborn area from what we can see, if those votes are in from the Dearborn area. Bailey Spangler says, will Haley ever drop out? I honestly don't know if she will. She's not going to drop out before Super Tuesday, but the money's drying up. You would think she would have to at some point. You would think she would just have to give it up, but apparently not. Apparently not. She's just too delusional. So we have more counties that are 100% in. Trump is getting in the mid to high 70s in all of them. Jonathan RWY says, does Haley have a shot at Marquette? I would say no. I would say no. It's not particularly like an anti-Trump Republican county. It's just a county that narrowly votes Democrat because there's a college there. Jazz Truckin says, Tulsi is making rounds. What concerns me is she's in favor of an assault weapons ban requiring background checks and closing the gun show loophole. I don't think she still supports those things, at least not publicly. She did write an op-ed on Substack where she clarified her changing gun position. I'm sure some people are still going to be skeptical of it, but we'll see. M says, was your political science degree worth it? I mean, I would say so because I don't have any debt and I plan on going to law school. So I would say it was worth it in the long run. Even though I think that I would have gotten a different degree in a different major if it wasn't for that. I mean, even honestly, just in retrospect in general, because you don't need to have a degree in political science to get into law school. And I've learned more just doing this channel, looking at social media about electoral politics and science within politics than I've learned in 4 years of an education. So John Waffle H2P says, if Trump wins, how do you think he handles Zelensky? I think he will put the two of them in a room together and he will make a deal, because that's how you do it. You make deals. Donald Trump is known for that. And I think, yeah, you're probably going to see Russia get control of the Russian-speaking provinces in Ukraine. They'll get their port. As I don't really think it's a bad thing all in all. A lot of those places want to be a part of Russia. They're, ethnically Russian to a large degree. Some people have been mistreated because of that in those regions. And I think in turn you're going to see sanctions on other, you'll see sanctions in other regards to, if Putin does X, Y, and Z, you're going to have this happen, or there's going to be certain consequences if these things happen. But it's true. People need to stop dying. We need peace. That's what we need. Russia's not full of evil people. It's not. Again, you have a lot of these people that just have Russian derangement syndrome. They were, Russian hate crimes went up back in early 2022 in places like New York and Florida, and they just stopped selling Russian vodka and things like that. It was just complete and total Russian derangement syndrome. And I think that's kind of simmered down quite a bit. I think you do see that there. But this notion that, Russia's the number one enemy, we have to do everything we can do to stop them. I'm more worried about the bad actors in our government more so at this point than whatever Putin is capable of doing. I think a lot of people feel that same way, and I think a lot of people understand that we need to avoid these conflicts. We need to take care of our own before we could take care of other countries, and I think that if you are going to get involved and you have a certain level of intervention, the best way to do it is peace. That's the way to do it. You have to negotiate some sort of a deal in order to get these things done. And that's the way it is. You have a lot of members of NATO, and they have been provoking Russia for quite some time. Russia's tried to join NATO over the years in the 90s, early 2000s. How did they respond? They responded by saying no and then putting nukes on Russia's border with the Baltic states. So regardless of whatever you think in the conflict, it's important that we just negotiate a deal. And I don't think it's a bad idea for Russia to take control of certain pro-Russia provinces of Ukraine. But you have a lot of people with an agenda, a warmongering agenda. There's a reason why Ukraine had a Russian-friendly president up until 10 years ago when they basically cooed him out. It's a problem. Let's see. Shadow Fox 4562 says, just started listening recently as an independent. I would caution the Republican base to not become complacent. That is how elections are lost. Trump will win the general if this energy keeps up. Well, it needs to light a fire under people. That's what it needs to do. They need to be getting out there and being active, and that's how you win an election. We have the votes. Trump said it. We have all the votes we need. It wasn't telling people not to vote like some people said. He's just saying that we need to get out and vote. There is enough votes to get Trump elected in this country. There's also enough votes, believe it or not, to get Biden elected we need to go out there and get our voters out to vote. That's the way it is. Let's see. Samuel Harrison says, is Haley going to run in the No Labels party? Probably not, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't endorse Trump at all, continued the grift. But I think if she wants a future in Republican politics, which she's not going to get regardless, what she needs to do is just basically avoid attacking Donald Trump and just at least say we need to vote against Biden and vote for Trump, even if it's nominally. Like, yeah, so just as if it peels off some of her supporters to Donald Trump that were not with Trump to begin with, yeah, she should endorse Trump. I'm not saying she needs to be front and center, but I'm not going to reject an endorsement from Haley just because she's an awful human being with a lot of awful policies, because it just would be dumb to do so. But at the same time, no rallies, no campaign events, whatever. That's that. All right, we have 6,000 live viewers, and we are only 24% of the way done counting votes. How long is this going to go on for? We've been doing this for forever, it seems. It's going to be all night before the votes are finished counted. But we hit 166. We hit 166K. We did it. We hit the number. We hit the monthly goal. That's incredible. So thank you guys. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I still encourage you guys to do so. But still, 166K. That is huge. We're coming closer to 200,000. I think we're going to hit it sometime. Probably, I'd like to hit it sometime during the summer. Hopefully. But we'll have to see. See, I would look at regular chat, but it's just moving fast, even with slow mode on. We've got that many people in the chat just watching, but yeah, 67% of the vote. Trump's getting over 2/3 right now. His lead he's almost to a 40-point lead. He's almost there. I hope he cracks 70. I really do. If he doesn't get it, whatever, but still, he's getting closer. M says, with all the money Zelensky has stolen from us and all the corruption, I hope Russia takes all of Ukraine. Well, I honestly just hope for peace is what I hope for. I hope that, there are consequences. I hope we do get every single cent of money we gave to Ukraine. They have to give it back. That should be part of the deal. I don't know if they're going to be able to without going into massive amounts of debt, but that should be part of the deal. Taxpayer funding. We have an invasion on our own southern border. Like, yeah, I don't condone any war. I don't want war. We don't want war. We're not going to glorify it. But at the same time, we have an invasion. They had an invasion. Our invasion is a little different, but still, they're bringing a lot of drugs over that are causing a lot of Americans' lives to be in despair, causing a lot of Americans to die from certain overdoses, things like that. And we hear a lot about, majority of drugs will come through like legal ports of entry. And technically they have, but when you have this many people coming through an unprecedented amount, that's probably not going to be the case. Not a lot of it is going to go undetected as well. So we have to secure our border. I'm not saying that you can't get involved overseas because, I'm not saying we need isolationism or anything like that, but we do need to scale it back. We need non-interventionism as much as possible. And when we are going to get involved, we need to be using peace through strength for one. And for two, we're going to need to work to de-escalate the conflicts. That's what we need to do. So let's see. Yeah, he's almost to 67. They say he's going to end up at 69. She's going to end up at 27. I want him at 70. I don't know if he's going to get to 70, but we'll see. There are more votes on Decision Desk now than there are on the New York Times, despite New York Times having a higher percentage. So do with that what you will. But it doesn't seem like we have any exit polling data out of Michigan. Maybe Fox will release it one day. I don't know. Let's see. Michigan exit polls. Do we have any exit polls? I don't think there are any exit polls. At least not yet. Maybe in the future. but it doesn't seem like we have any exit polls whatsoever. But yeah, okay, we have a new super chat. Marty Smith Fan Sue for 20 says, Rep, I'm a 60-year-old kid boomer watching you since 2019. Thanks for your hard work. Well, appreciate it. Off topic, since you're interested in law, did you watch the Fanny saga today? And if so, what are your thoughts? Does the judge disqualify? From Susie. I didn't see it in its entirety. I saw bits and pieces of it. The whole thing is a joke. I'll say that much. And honestly, they should disqualify. We know how these things go, but it's going to be very difficult for them to rule in their favor at this point. It really just will. Like, you can't look at this. If it was a serious country we live in with a serious criminal justice system, we know what the result would be. But, you know, at this point, there is that question mark there. So we'll see. But, yeah, apparently... Oh, I did miss a super chat. I'm sorry about that. American Hill Politics says, if Haley ran no labels with Dean Phillips, who does that hurt more, Biden or Trump? I probably would lean towards Biden, actually. Because Haley's becoming Liz Cheney. That doesn't do well with Republican voters whatsoever. You know, maybe she'll get back some of these... Maybe she'll win the Romney-Clinton voters. A lot of those voters would pick Biden anyways. So I think it'd be a good thing. Trump is at 211. So 25% reporting. Trump is at 211. If we do the math on this, he would break the record. He's going to get close to the record. I would love to see him break it. Biden, on the other hand... He's still below 80. He probably cracks it, but it would depend on what happens in Wayne County, for sure. But you have a lot of other counties with votes in. He's cracking 80 in a lot of other places, but not every county. Like Washtenaw County, he's not breaking 80 in Washtenaw. That's a problem for him, for sure. But overall, Donald Trump, still doing very well. He's about to take a 39-point lead over Haley. Jazz Truckin says Biden will be having accidents before Election Day. This is based on observations I've made caring for elderly people with dementia. Your thoughts? Well, he's probably all drugged up, and he's definitely making a lot of verbal mistakes despite that fact. It just depends on what you mean by accident, for sure. If you're talking about like, oh, he's going to pee himself or whatever, they probably already are putting all sorts of depends on the guy so he doesn't do that if that's an issue. Like, they're gonna make him look as presentable as possible. He's the president of the United States. They have the power to do so. But even then, he's weak, he's feeble. Donald Trump, he's older than most people, but he's still with it. The age is not the concern. I don't really care that Trump is old. I don't even care that Biden's old. The problem is he's not mentally with it. And no, it's not a stutter. We hear that a lot. Oh, it's just a stutter. He's always at a stutter. I mean, you could watch the debates back in the day with him and Paul Ryan. He would stutter occasionally, but he mentally was with it. He's not mentally with it anymore. That's the main problem that he has. He's all over the place. He's always had a stutter, but he's never really seemed like he was mentally all that deficient. I mean, he wasn't the brightest bulb in the shed. Ted Kennedy said he was like the dumbest senator of the whole bunch. We know that, but still. Generalissimo Liberty says we're at 30% in AP. Trump's going to get 70%. We'll see. I hope he gets close to that. I hope he gets more. Jake CB says, how's Trump doing in the counties he needs to do to win in November? Well, Macomb County, he's doing very well so far. But, you know, a lot of vote left to be tabulated. He's, you know, in some counties not doing all that well compared to his statewide margin, but still that's expected. It doesn't mean that he can't rebound in some of those counties because Biden is not that popular either. So, Rhinos YTH says Joe had 2 brain surgeries. Really? Interesting. Well, we have 6,000 live viewers. Like the stream. Let's get to 8,000 likes. I think we have the manpower to do it. Like the stream, subscribe. We just hit 166,000 subscribers. We are still climbing. We're still getting up there. Still subscribe anyways. Let's run up the score. We're going to get closer to 200,000. I would like to hit it sometime this summer potentially, but we'll see. But anyways, if you guys have any super chats that you'd like to send in, feel free as we wait on more results to be tallied. They take a ridiculous amount of time just to put votes in the tabulation system. But Donald Trump with another resounding primary victory. I don't know how long we're going to stream. Now the margin's up to Trump by 43. Now they have him still at 69, unfortunately. But yeah, put the votes in the system. What are we waiting for here? Seriously. It's getting a little ridiculous at this point. But yeah, Biden is still, I believe, below 80. Oh, he's at 80. He finally hit 80. It took him this long to hit 80% as an incumbent president. And there's still a lot of votes that have not been tabulated. He might go below depending on Wayne County, but if I would probably say he gets the over. But still, it's an abysmal performance for an incumbent president, for sure, without any serious opposition. It's not like you have, RFK Jr. still in the race. Because if that was the case, I think Biden would be getting possibly in the 60s right now. But he's not in the race. So, yeah, Trump is currently leading by 38.4%. Or now 38.2. More votes have come in. I don't know out of which specific county they've come in from. I think it was actually a dump out of Oakland. More votes have just popped on. I think Tuscola County, or however you pronounce that one, he's at 75%. A third of the vote from that county is in too. So, yeah, his lead went up, actually, since we last scrolled down. John Waffle, H2 Pieces, what field of law are you interested in? Criminal, civil, business, family? I'm not entirely sure yet. I think we'll make that determination when we do the rounds of the law school courses, because you basically get to dabble in everything, and you get to, I think, make your decision when you graduate which field is preferable. So I think it just depends. There's a lot I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to sit back here and know. I know that, there's a lot of certain subfields that are pretty hot right now and some that are not as hot as they used to be. So, but we'll see. But Trump, he's at 233,000 votes with 28% of the vote reporting. That increases. There's more votes being tabulated right now. He's almost back to the 67% margin. Jonathan RWI says Joe Biden's brain is clear as looking through frosted glass. I mean, basically, there's nothing there. It's mush. Listen to the guy talk. What is there? This is supposedly the best we can do out of a country of 320 million people for who should lead the country. Generalissimo Liberty says thought machines were supposed to speed things up. Exactly. They apparently don't. George McGovern 1 says, are your 2024 predictions going to be as bad as 2022? No, I don't believe they will be. I mean, there's a lot in 2022. There's a lot to unpack. I wanted to make a video about that as well, because they're two different ball games. Joe Biden wasn't on the ballot in 2022. Donald Trump was also not on the ballot in 2022. And I feel like a lot of incumbent governors said their approval ratings recovered. They were able to win. That's kind of what made a lot of these states like Michigan, Wisconsin appear to be less Republican than they were. There were also many mechanical issues that Republicans had to face, many funding issues as well. Certain candidates left them out to dry. I mean, that's the issue there. There's a lot of problems that were taking place, but still, either way, I think 2024 is going to be a better cycle for predictions. But I'm not predicting a Trump landslide, because I don't think it's going to be one. And I'd rather predict a close race and have it be a landslide than vice versa. LT17 says, hey, Rep, do you have any advice on how to drive voter turnout in my district? I'm running for precinct committeeman and trying to get support for Trump delegates in a small town in Illinois. Well, I would suggest that So you're running for office and you're asking to how to drive voter turnout. Well, you're talking about for yourself or for Donald Trump in general, if it's like in a primary type thing, because I would encourage, have a team together. You got to get people knocking doors. You have to get people making phone calls. There are apps, I think, that easily, seamlessly allow you to do so for Donald Trump. And if you're able to use that to your advantage, then you're going to be able to boost turnout for sure. A lot of it is just getting involved in general. You want to help Trump out, you're going to have to volunteer. They have a whole system of things to do there, making calls, knocking doors, phone banking, you name it. Salt A says, hey, Red Eagle, imagine that the Muslim population in Wayne County turn on Biden with a high uncommitted count and turn out for Trump out of spite. I'm sure some of them will, but keep in mind, they're not a large portion of the population. There may be 1% to 2% in Michigan as a whole. And I'm not saying it doesn't count or it doesn't add up, because I think that will be part of Trump's gains in the state. But still, Tudor Dixon did very well with Muslim voters compared to Donald Trump, and that didn't help her out statewide. So keep that in mind. But yeah, 67. He finally got 67. He's about to cross the 39-point lead threshold. He's about to enter 40-point beatdown territory of Nikki Haley. Donald Trump, he's projected to get 69% of the vote. I'd like for that to break 70. But he's getting closer and closer to the estimate, which is a very, very good thing. More votes have been reported. Currently, we are at 28. We're still at 28%. 28% of the vote has been reported. I mean, that's not exactly a ridiculous amount for the 2.5 hours we've been live streaming. But hey, at least they're kind of getting reported. I thought they were counting the absentees first. So, whatever. But he's still on track to break Biden's record from 2020 for primary votes. He already is more likely than not going to break his record that was set in 2020. He's likely going to shatter his record for Republican primary support. So that's good. But we'll see. We could look at the Democrat side of things once again. Biden's below 80. He went below 80 again. Wayne County still 4% in, but more votes have been tabulated from other counties, including Ingham County. Biden's below 80% in Ingham. So overall, Biden remains below 80% of the vote in the state of Michigan. Still not good. Trump is inching closer to 70%, despite being in an open primary and facing severe opposition. Is it making a dent? No, not really. He's still doing well. 29% of the vote is in. He's winning with over 2/3 of the vote. Stephen Knisik says, come on, Trump, give us that 69% so chat can spam nice. Well, he's getting closer to that point, but I don't know if we're going to get there on stream. I can't stream for 7 hours straight when we already know what the end result's going to be, but I don't like to end a stream when we haven't even counted 30% of the primary vote. I will say that. So we went below. So where did more votes come in from? I think, well, let's see here. I don't know where those other votes came in from. Was it Wayne County? I don't know where those votes just... Okay, it doesn't matter. Jonathan RWY says, Haley's a 24% loser. Let's go. Well, it's a lot more than 24% that she's losing by. But yeah, when it's all counted, she's going to be down close to that. And this was supposed to be a state where she was going to get in the 30s. It's an open primary state. The polls were going to be underestimating Donald Trump, or they'd be overestimating Trump yet again. But did it matter? No, not really. The polls have been pretty much accurate in Michigan. He's going to get around 70. She's going to get in the 20s. I mean, it's not looking good for Nikki Haley. It's not. Trump is in a stronger position right now than he's ever been in his political life. That much is true. He's facing the weakest opposition in a general election that he's faced his entire political life. He has a lot going against him, But still, it seems like it's bouncing off. It feels like the energy is on his side. And that's a good thing. But there's more votes that have been tabulated here, and Trump's at 242,000. So he's back up to 67 with the next vote dump that has not been shown here yet. I don't know what county that's out of. We'll have to see. But Macomb County, that's a big county. He's doing well. Actually, they moved it. He's now at 70. He's back up there to a 44-point win. The needle has given Donald Trump an extra edge. I don't know where or why exactly it did. But, yeah, they did. Because it's when the Oakland County precincts reported and Trump was doing much better than expected in Oakland. That was supposed to be a county. Oh, hey, people on like election Twitter, whatever. Oh, Haley's going to go out there and win Oakland. Yeah, no. I mean, I thought Trump would get in the 50s there, to be honest. So far, he's getting 63%. And yeah, there's more votes to be tabulated there, but still, we'll see. Okay, David Zentara says Trump is leading by 5 points in Michigan. I can't imagine any scenario with Biden winning that doesn't involve him winning Michigan. Yeah, I mean, because if you're winning Michigan, you're probably winning Pennsylvania. You're probably winning Wisconsin. And it clearly shows that Biden's not getting ridiculous levels of black turnout either. So Georgia, that's going Republican. I mean, if you get Georgia and Michigan, you know, maybe you could say he has to lose every other swing state to lose. I don't see a scenario where it happens. You're 100% right. So that's that. Dustin Batchelor says, longtime follower, current law student. If you need anything, advice or otherwise, I can super chat my email. Well, I don't think it lets you super chat your email, but if you want to send me like a DM for future reference, or you want to send me an email, it's on the About section of the YouTube page there. So, yeah, feel free. But, yeah, anyways, guys, 67%. We have 70% of the vote left. I mean, to be tabulated. There's a lot more votes here. There's plenty more. But Donald Trump, so far, so good. 39-point lead. Now they say he's going to win by 44. It just depends on where the votes exactly remain. Now the remaining votes in Washington, they say, are going to go for Trump. I mean, across the board, he's winning. He's going to win the votes in every single county by a decent amount. Haley's not winning a county. She's not going to win a county, it seems. She won a county in South Carolina. She won a county in New Hampshire. She won a county in Iowa even by one vote. Literally by one vote. And Trump, being the badass he is, fired his campaign director in that county, which is pretty funny. But yeah, why not? It just shows that he's being ruthless. He's not taking any trash from any of these people. So there's that. Generalissimo Liberty says Trump will get more of the black and Muslim vote. He will get more of it, but again, the election's also decided on the white working class turnout, how he's doing well with the voters in Michigan who he can win this time around if he's getting out his core base. I mean, the state's like 50% non-college white. It's 2% Muslim. It's maybe 15% black. I think the black turnout dipping itself is going to be detrimental to Biden more so than anything else, because you're not going to have COVID level turnout more likely than not. So that's not exactly going to give Biden the upper hand there. But Trump so far in the primary doing very well. Biden still below 80 with 26% of the vote in. Jonathan RWY says Nikki Haley has lost by a bigger margin than Liz Cheney. Trump is winning bigly. That is true. We still have a long way to go. I mean, we're still currently at 30% reporting, and I'm getting a little bit, bored regarding the results because they take so slow to come in. But it's been a good stream so far. Let's see. Generalissimo Liberty says, throw out old thinking, this election is different. Well, all elections are different. But I will say that regarding the whole Muslim vote thing, it's going to help Trump. but it's not enough to give him the election outright, because the percent of Michigan's electorate that is Muslim is not as big as some people think. It's just that it's not that Michigan is full of Muslims, but a lot of Muslims live in Michigan and also Minnesota, but those tend to be more Somali Muslims than like Arabs or Middle Eastern Muslims. I mean, a lot of the Arabs in Michigan are actually not even Muslim, believe it or not. And they're also moving to the right too, which is good, but still. Let's see. How did Nikki get 2 delegates? Because she got like 28% of the vote. General Elissimo Liberty says Biden's upsetting all the right people. Oh, I know that. That's 100% true. Biden is upsetting a lot of his own base, and that's not a recipe for success electorally speaking. If you are struggling to build a coalition, what's your coalition going to be on? Orange Man Bad. That's literally what its election's going to be ran on. And is that enough at this point when he's more unpopular than Donald Trump is? It's not. It's not going to be enough. It's not. I mean, Trump is somebody that still has an 80-some% favorable rating within the Republican Party. He's going to get all those voters home regardless, more likely than not. Even a big chunk of the people that are voting for Haley are still going to be voting for Trump. When it's all said and done, they're going to be looking at their pocketbooks. And Trump, you compare them to Nikki Haley regarding or not Nikki Haley, you compare Donald Trump to Joe Biden with the independent voters and the favorables there. It's like Biden is not doing well with independents either. He's not. We saw polls from economists, like true independents are actually breaking for Trump. Even if they don't vote for him in a primary. I mean, that's the key. Not every primary voter is going to be, not every general election voter will vote in the primary. In fact, most of them don't. But pretty much every primary voter is going to be voting in the general. Even though in 2022 we didn't see that, but that's not a presidential year. So, Mike Oxard says it's not just Muslims, but generally young people that support Palestine that have been completely turned off to Biden over his handling of the conflict. I'm aware. And I think that that's another problem that Biden's going to have is his own base and young people in general. They're not all that enthused. He could try to talk about the abortion issue, but whatever energy he might gain on that specifically, he might lose on Palestine, which is a major problem that he's going to have regarding turnout. So he's screwed either way in many regards. I'm not saying we have to take this election lightly. It's going to be one that's going to have to be hard fought, but is it one that I believe that Donald Trump is in the driver's seat to win? Absolutely at this point. So, yep, Joe Biden below 80, still below 80. Wayne is still 4% in. It's just exhausting. Where are the votes? We're 31% in. I mean, the results aren't going to change much. I don't know how long we're going to be streaming for. But if you guys would like to send in some more super chats to keep the conversation going, feel free. Feel free. But yeah. Interesting. Let's see. Trump got another vote dump here. Didn't move the needle at all. But, yeah, Trump plus 44. That's what it has him at. He's going to get close to the record of all-time primary votes. And it's a primary that's not even all that contested. That's a good sign for Donald Trump for sure. Generalissimo Liberty says states will turn red that have not in a while. Well, we saw a poll out of Maine the other day that had Donald Trump winning Maine by 6. And even in November, that poll had Biden up by just 1. So it's very likely, depending on the third-party vote share, that he could be picking off states. It just depends on overall turnout. I just would prefer Donald Trump lock down the states he needs right now, and then he can go from there and focus on expanding the map. And if he's able to do that, you might be in for a surprisingly wide election landslide taking place come November. But we've really yet to see what's going to happen. Harold Napper says, do you think there's enough votes for Trump to get above 70? That will shut Haley up for good. I mean, they're predicting right now with the needle that Trump's going to get 70. I think there's enough votes left, but we have yet to see. Generalissimo Liberty says Nikki is like John Anderson 1980. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if Anderson was this much of a warmongering individual, though. I really haven't fully read into him, but I mean, the whole point of like the liberal Republican opposition to like Reagan, maybe you could say that, because it didn't impact the end result. Biden's definitely comparable to Carter. A lot of people said Carter was the worst president in recent memory as a president. A lot of people like Carter as an individual for his humanitarian work, but as a president, he had approval ratings in like the 30s, low 30s. Reagan completely went out there and beat him pretty well. And I think the two are pretty comparable. One-term Democrat president, yeah, Biden could be the next Carter. History does repeat itself. Justin Ziegler says, does the finances of the Trump campaign as super PACs, state GOPs, and national RNC a cause for concern? Super PACs are losing all money by July if it continues compared to where they were last year. Well, I think that because you have a new leader of the RNC, you might get to see donors come back. Same thing goes for the Michigan RNC. And I think it's an issue. I don't know if it's going to be as relevant because it's a presidential year where Donald Trump is on the ballot. I mean, he had money working against him twice. He was outspent 3-1 by Hillary. He won. He was outspent by Biden by quite a bit as well. And, I mean, we all know how that went. But still, it was a very close election. And I think this time around, you know, Biden's money, is he able to spend his way to being popular? Not necessarily. I'm sure he's going to do what he can do with the ground game. Got to harvest as many ballots as possible where he can, but we just got to do the same thing. So, Scott B. Hey, Rep, fan of the channel, just curious, how far right would you consider yourself compared to Mark Dice, Jared Taylor, Vincent James, etc.? I don't like to put labels on certain things. I think that I am my own person with my own ideology. I think that where I align in terms of the political compass, I've done those tests before years ago. I haven't really done one in a while. But I'd probably say I'm relatively right-leaning. I'm nationalistic. I'm somebody who would be considered a populist, I guess. And I'm somebody who is like a national conservative. I don't know. I probably would say I'm in line with Mark Dice on a lot of things when it comes down to it. So maybe if that's what you're looking for, if you want a specific person that you listed, probably closer to him. But it depends on like the individual content creator or political ideologue when you talk about comparison. I'd say that there's people closer to me than that. So Cody Redding says, do you think the GOP will carry the MAGA movement after Trump? Do you see it moving more towards America First or Old Guard? I think it depends on who is in control of the GOP and if they finally understand that you have to embrace certain things in order to get elected. Now, I will say Ron DeSantis was heralded to be like the next Trump by a lot of people for a couple years. He ran for president. We saw how that turned out. But I think a lot of that was that he didn't have the personality more so than, the policy's the main concern. So I think you have to kind of have both. This whole like Trumpism without Trump doesn't exactly work. I'm not saying you're going to need somebody with exactly Trump's personality or a Trump copycat, but you're going to need somebody who brings something to the table, who can lead a movement. And DeSantis was just not that, even though on policy in many fronts he tried to mimic Trump or give like a half-baked Trump agenda. So yeah, let's see. Jay Shug says odds of Trump winning his $450 million appeal. I actually think it's very high because of how ridiculous that court case is. I know that the justice system in this country is a mess, but still. Generalissimo Liberty says the way they treat Trump is the same way they treated Reagan. They did the same thing to Goldwater in '64. A red map will make them accuse us of honk. It's possible. I will say that Goldwater was kind of like the pre-Reagan, or like the I guess you would say the prequel, just kind of how Pat Buchanan, who was another person I'd say I'm very ideologically aligned with Pat Buchanan on a lot of things. For the guy that sent that super chat about who I'm aligned with, I'd say I'm probably just about as right-wing as Pat Buchanan in that regard. to answer that question. But the whole Trump Reagan thing, I think Goldwater was the prequel to Reagan the way Buchanan was to Trump. And usually you have somebody come along, they bring ideas to the forefront, they get shot down electorally in a primary or resoundingly in a general, but then you find somebody later on who perfects it, and then they take it to the next level. And I think Trump kind of did drop a lot of the more theocratic elements to it for electoral purposes, because I don't think Trump is all that strong about certain social issues. Not as strong as I'd like him to be, but still at the same time, I think that sowing doubt in certain institutions is more important to kind of get people to wake up to those facts, more so than just running a campaign where you just stand your ground on losing issues anyways. So I think it just depends. Generally, Civil Liberty says, have you read Death of the West? I have read it. I have the book actually in my closet right over there that is not panned, that the camera's not panned to right now. But Pegs on says, do you think Trump will sweep all Super Tuesday states, or will Haley win Vermont and Virginia? I don't think she'll win Virginia. I think Vermont is a question mark, but still I think Trump probably wins it anyways, because she hasn't spent a lot of time and energy there compared to New Hampshire, for example, or even South Carolina. Justin Ziegler says, maybe I missed it on your channel, but why did Michigan go blue after years of being red and purple on the state level, and how does the Michigan Republican Party respond given its current state? Well, the Michigan GOP just kind of fell off, and now you have new leadership that's trying to revive it, which is a very good thing. So it just depends. When it comes down to it, you had the red wave 2010, and then after Trump, you kind of saw a little bit of a pushback. You saw Whitmer win. Incumbent governors usually end up winning, and when you have such a weak state party, it's you're not going to win that race with some podcaster who, is famous for having controversial takes on the abortion issue. That just is not, it's not messaging that's winning, basically. You're going to get hammered on that, especially in the Roe v. Wade era. It's the Todd Akin thing. And that was back then. Akin probably would win now, given polarization. Same thing with Mordick there in Indiana in the 2012 cycle, but just trying that strategy. We're just going to be a hardliner, see what happens. It's not the best politics, even if it is a position that is morally correct to take, because it's politics. You can frame certain things in certain ways, and you can have the perfect political positions, but still, if you're unable to win because of them, it's all for nothing. It's not helping out because of that. It's not the only reason she lost, but still, you have Whitmer, you have a trifecta now. You look at what's going to happen in terms of legislation on that front, it's not going to be good because you didn't play your cards right. So let's check the election real quick here. Trump is, he keeps going up and down. He was at 67, then he's at 66. Now he's back over 67. Now they say Trump by 45. Because Macomb County's coming in. It's coming in more red than expected. That's why. Okay, so we see that. Yeah, that's good. So Trump now is projected to win by 45 points. Very fitting for the 45th president there. But 36% of the vote is in. He's almost a 300,000 votes, believe it or not. So that's 36% of the vote. So far, they have him below the record, but still 800,000, about that many votes is pretty big for a Republican primary in Michigan. That would be a record. Biden, on the other hand, he's down there. He is still at 80, but he's not much above 80. So he's probably going to get low 80s at most, depending on what's left out of Wayne County regarding the uncommitted support. But let's see. RZ410 says, hello from Dane County, Wisconsin. Voting Trump as soon as I can. Love the stream. Subscribed since 19. That's 5 years. We did our 5-year anniversary stream a couple weeks ago. Thoughts on the primary here. Will results matter in the general? Well, I think that it shows that Trump is still very strong despite it being an open primary. Biden's got base issues. That's not going to be good. as well, because you don't have Republicans crossing over to vote uncommitted. They don't care about owning Biden about the conflict. They really don't. If you're a Republican, you're going to vote for Trump. Maybe you would vote for Haley. But if that's the case, you're probably voting Trump in the general. Some Biden voters crossed over for Haley for sure. Not maybe a majority, but enough to make that margin as high as it is. And it's going to be a lower amount of people doing that in ensuing states because they realize they're just wasting their vote. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens over in Dane County. Definitely, it's carried Democrats to victory in a lot of these lower turnout elections, but still, in a presidential year, will it be the sole determining factor? Probably not. Generalissimo Liberty says we have to get rid of Graham and McConnell. I agree. Cody Redding says I watched a Vox video about how Florida GOP flipped the Latinos in Florida. Big reason was ads in Spanish. Should GOP do that on a national scale? Depending where, like in Arizona and Nevada, they should. I don't see an issue with it. I don't like that fact, but yeah, I mean, if you want to maximize your support, if there are some Republicans that don't speak English or people that are conservative that don't speak English, yeah, getting them out to vote, if that's a reasonable way to do it, do it. But do I think that we need to make English the official language of the U.S.? Absolutely. Do I think people should have to learn English if they are in this country? Absolutely. I agree 100%. You have to be able to communicate with your neighbors for the sake of social cohesion, or there won't be any social cohesion. But still, yeah, I think that you need those ads in certain places. If it's worked wonders for them in the past, I think that you need the ads now. I mean, Trump has been talking to executives of like Univision. It's funny because they had the beef back in 2016, but it's like if you flip like Telemundo and Univision as like more conservative networks for some reason, that's kind of like game over for the Democrats in a lot of places. Texas isn't going to flip as easily. Arizona and Nevada are still going to be competitive. Nevada probably becomes a red state. If it's not, a deep red state, it'll be like a lean red state, and you go from there. So, yeah. 5,000 live viewers in chat. Like the stream. Still subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe. We got a Cash App super chat from Jacqueline B. Thank you for the 20 on Cash App. If you guys want to send me super chats there as well, you can if you want to donate directly to the channel. But anyways, guys, I don't know how much longer we're going to go. If you guys want to send in some super chats, feel free. It will be the last call. I'd like to stay in until Trump at least takes a 40-point lead. But, judging from how slow they're counting, it might take about 45 years for that to happen. So, anyways, like the stream. You have any last-minute super chats, feel free to send them in. If not, that's perfectly fine. Big win for Trump tonight. Biden had a big win percentage-wise, but he's got some issues regarding his enthusiasm, given how many voters decided not to vote for the incumbent president. Historically low for an incumbent president with zero serious opposition. Not a good look for Joe Biden. But still, nevertheless, we will continue. More primaries this weekend. We've got Super Tuesday. We've got a long way to go before all these primaries are over. This summer, we have the House primaries in Michigan and a lot of other states as well. That's all going to be important. And make sure you guys like and subscribe so you guys stay along for the ride. But we have a long way to go before the election, but still, we are knocking on the door. We have 8 months, I believe. 8 months, we'll see. Generalissimo Liberty says Trump will flip big blue states. Well, we got to see about that. I think watching the margins is important regardless. Cinnamon Toast Crunch says a Fox News poll said 87% of the South Carolina primary voters were Republican, and half of Nikki voters would vote for Biden over Trump. In a general, should there be worry? Well, I saw what the exit poll showed. The exit poll showed that 87% said they're Republican or that they lean Republican, which is going to include some never Trump Republicans in the mix as well. And it also showed that, yeah, there was a portion of Haley voters who would not support Trump, but it was not they would not necessarily vote for Biden if you're referring to that exit poll there. But I would not exactly be worried a whole lot about it. mainly because of the fact that a lot of those voters very well could just be saying they lean Republican if they're voting in a Republican primary. A lot of those voters that even said they'd vote for Biden will likely come home if they actually voted for Donald Trump in the first place, which is another thing. We don't know if that's exactly going to be the case, but it did show, I think, like a good half of Haley voters would not vote for Trump in general. But it also showed that a bigger percentage of Trump voters would not vote for Haley in the general. So you have to look at it that way too. So I'm not exactly sure that it means anything. It's an exit poll. Exit polls can be useful, but at the end of the day, yeah, not exactly going to probably have that much of an impact when it's all said and done. Generalissimo Liberty says we must stop the Bush era thinking. Blue states, well, you got to lock down the red states first, or the swing states, before you go after a state like New York or California, because those are very tough hauls. We have extreme polarization. I think the Bush era thinking would be to target some states like that. Bush came within 10 in California. He came within 10 of Hawaii, of all places. I don't think Trump's going to get that margin just because of polarization, but we'll see if his margin's able to increase. It helps out down ballot. It helps out across the board. But we'll see. We got to go out there and get it done in November. And the primary, it's looking good for Trump so far in Michigan, getting over 2/3 of the vote, probably over 70% when it's all said and done. They have him clocking in at 70. They have Haley down there at 25. And it's an open primary too. That's absolutely huge. Okay, they're not all swing states though. That's the thing. They're not all swing states. New York's not a swing state. Would I like it to be a swing state? Yes. Is Trump going to win New York? Probably not. I'd bet the mortgage that he wouldn't, but I would love to see it happen. And I also don't have a mortgage. But if I did have a mortgage, I would bet the mortgage that he wouldn't. And if I lost everything, I'd be more than happy about it. But that's just my take on it. You know, just look at the numbers. He's down by 23 in 2020. He's got a lot of ground to make up. He could make up half that ground. It's going to be huge. But, you know, Pennsylvania, that's the main focus. Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada. That's the way it is. He clears the board there. Then he can go after Minnesota, maybe Maine, maybe New Hampshire, maybe Virginia, maybe New Mexico. But he's not the favorite there. But those are, maybe you could say those are states he could pull off first, but we'll see. H posts, the idea that Trump-Haley is a good ticket is ludicrous. It would split the movement and result in 4 more years for Biden. Establishment's wet dream is that ticket. Justin Ziegler says, have you considered to do a stream or video with Let's Talk Elections? It's not going to happen. We are not really on good terms, and I don't really care to be on good terms with him. What states are at risk of turning purple if Republicans aren't careful? I don't think any state is at risk of turning purple right now this election. Now, if we look at Texas in future cycles, yeah, they got to get immigration under control or it's going to be a problem. But they're kind of near their current floor right now. Generalissimo Liberty says, stop letting the Democrats tell you where to campaign. None of them. Well, I'm not letting Democrats dictate where to campaign. You got to campaign in certain areas. I mean, it was Democrats that have done the 50-state strategy in the past, or at least touted it. Doesn't exactly mean that it's the best strategy overall. You have a set window, you have a high floor, you got to lock it down. That's not Democrats saying that. That's basically just me saying it. I said Trump going to New York was a good thing. I don't think he needs to be campaigning there in October unless it's actually competitive, according to any level of polling, internal polls, whatever. Base Cat says, what was Obama's 2012 margin? He got like 89% in Michigan. Like the whole, the equivalent of that revolt was ancestral Democrats not liking what was going on, and a lot of them voted for Romney and then Trump, or at least not ancestral Democrats, but like Democrats that or people that voted for Obama in 2008. And also you had the Occupy Wall Street things taking place as well. So that was also a problem for the Democrats. But a lot of those voters came home. It was less of a deal as the whole Palestine thing. Generalissimo Liberty says, when you say you cannot win, you let them win. Well, it's basic math. I mean, every candidate that's run for political office in California has said, we're going to win the state if they're a Republican. And do they win? No. So you have to go in with the mindset you're going to win. But certain states need to be focused on more so than others. It's basic math. It's basic demography. It's basic electoral trends. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So, all right. This has been a good stream, but I think we're going to end it. It's been a 3-hour long stream. We've covered 3 hours of election results. We're still like the 40% of the way through. So it's not exactly like this is going to continue. Okay, Generalissimo Liberty again says that's not math, it's lack of ambition. It's mainly math. Ambition is important, don't get me wrong. You could try, go to certain blue places, try to get votes. That's what the primary is also for. It still, you have to prioritize certain things over others. It's just the way it is. So that's that. All right, we're going to end it. 41% of the vote is in. We stayed in as long as we could, arguably overstaying our welcome, just like Nikki Hay. Okay, we have another super chat saying they are a party of cowards. Well, why don't the Democrats then go to West Virginia if that's the case? Because that's the argument you're making. Oh, well, Biden should go to West Virginia. Biden should go to Tennessee. Biden should go to Wyoming. It's the same logic, but he knows he can't win there, so he's not going to do it. So it's just the same argument reversed. TH Wait for 20 says, good job. Thank you, and I think we'll end that on a high note with that super chat. Anyways, guys, like the stream down below. Comment or subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on replay, comment down below. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Make sure you guys follow the social media. The links are in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.